Part 198. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1975. The visitor is naturally the queen of the Zerg, and unlike her previous rare appearances, this time her true form has arrived directly. Jia Yan didn't even know when she arrived. When the sound rang, Jia Yan looked back and saw a body that was twice as big as Jia Yan's body at this moment, so steady. It was flying around, as if it had been there for a long time. "My queen." The two of them quickly saluted with great respect. The closer you get to the territory lord, the more you know how strong the Zerg queen is. The strength of the Zerg queen is not that of an ordinary territory lord. It is at least 2 levels stronger than many territory lords in the outside world. In this central star field of the Milky Way, she may be held back by the territory lord who appears inexplicably. In this way, the 2 domain lords were still seriously injured. It can be seen how terrifying the strength of the Zerg queen is, and this is even if the opponent does not use the resources of the central star field of the Milky Way to improve its strength. You two, I know you have always looked down on each other, but I never thought that you would actually get to the point of taking action. The Zerg queen looked at Jia Yan and the black sheep indifferently. Although her eyes did not show too much anger, everyone knew that she was angry. After all, Black Sheep is the most capable assistant among her subordinates. Although he is a bit ambitious, he is very useful. She is extremely satisfied with Black Sheep. As for Jia Yan, she is very optimistic. If Jia Yan is given a chance in the future, there is no chance of surpassing Black Sheep. This is what it looks like now. Jia Yan disappeared for a while. It was not the stagnation and death of his strength that she thought. In the eyes of her, a domain lord creature, this strength has actually been greatly improved. Just now, I saw that he dared to fight against the black man. Sheep's direct confrontation shows that this guy is definitely confident in saving his life under the hands of Black Sheep. This strength can be ranked among the top 5 among all the subordinates of the Zerg Queen. My lady queen, I just can't bear to see him look like this. I didn't expect that Jia Yan actually wants to fight with me. With his temper, I cannot work with him. Black Sheep raked the matter aside and directly spoke ill of Jia Yan. Hey, Lord Black Sheep, I just came back, but I didn't want to provoke you. If you hadn't started a war with me as soon as you came, how could I be angry with my senior? Besides, what do you think of my appearance? I was beaten by the territory lord. There is a sneak attack, but I haven't directly said that you were the one causing the trouble. Jia Yan sneered. You're talking nonsense. There was an astonishing anger in Black Sheep's eyes. There is a completely different difference between a private quarrel and in the eyes of the Zerg Queen, telling him about his collusion with the enemy territory lord creature. Even if there was a previous quarrel, Black Sheep knew very well that the Zerg Queen should have heard it, but that kind of quarrel did not come to her, even if it was a trivial matter. But now, Jia Yan dared to say such a thing in front of the Zerg Queen, which made the Zerg Queen has to take it seriously. After all, a subordinate had just returned risking his life and was attacked by a domain lord creature on the way. This incident was actually related to the ghost in his own family. For a family, this seemed to have the potential to shake the foundation of the force. Things that cannot be handled well will lead to disunity. Black Sheep. No need to say more, you go back to your place. The Zerg Queen suddenly gave a cold shout. She turned her head, with a female-like face, and ignored this subordinate. Her gaze made even the Black Sheep feel strange and horrified. In fact, how could the intelligence of the Zerg Queen not know some of the little tricks of the Black Sheep? She never broke the barrel, just wanted to give Black Sheep some face, not to mention Black Sheep was not doing anything to shake her rule, so she just let it go. But now, Black Sheep has contacted a domain lord who had fought with her before, and secretly attacked her subordinates who had returned from afar, which made her a little intolerable. If Black Sheep had a better attitude just now, she wouldn't be so angry, but now, Black Sheep still wants to quibble, which makes the Zerg Queen feel a little unhappy. Such a look can explain many problems. Okay, I understand, your Lady Queen, I'll go back right away. Black Sheep suddenly felt disheartened. He looked at Jia Yan, an inexplicable light shone in his eyes, and then flew into the energy circle. The primary creature from the galaxy that had intercepted Jia Yan earlier did not dare to speak. He saluted the Zerg Queen and Jia Yan and flew away in despair. In this field, only Jia Yan and the Zerg Queen remain. However, in the distance, there are already many creatures in the energy circle who have heard the noise from the outside world and are watching secretly. There are very familiar beings inside, those who came from the starting point, and there are also some that are completely unfamiliar to Jia Yan. They should be around the central star field of the Milky Way, or simply like the galaxy beginner who came to seek refuge in the central star field of the Milky Way just now. Exist. At this time, the Zerg Queen calmly turned her gaze to Jia Yan. My queen, long time no see. Jia Yan smiled slightly and bowed his head to the Zerg Queen, expressing his respect. He has always believed that he and the Zerg Queen are collaborators, so he will never do the kind of etiquette that only subordinates would do. The Zerg Queen was not angry or anything, because Jia Yan had always been like this. In other words, the Zerg Queen's greatest feeling for Jia Yan so far is not that his talent is so good, but more that she feels that Jia Yan is a being that is difficult for her to control. It's a tough one. Long time no see, it's true, Jia Yan, why haven't you come back for more than a year? If I hadn't thought you were not that kind of person, I would have already sent someone to inform the rear to get rid of your Orion arm. The Zerg Queen sees no joy or sorrow. Jia Yan was slightly startled. He knew that when the Zerg Queen said she would send people to the Orion arm, she did not mean to have a friendly visit to the Orion arm. Instead, she was most likely going to the Orion arm to start killing people because Jia Yan did not listen to the call. My Lady Queen, let's find a place where I can tell you about my recent situation. Jia Yan said this to the Zerg Queen. Okay, let's go to the main hall. The Zerg Queen nodded, turned into a stream of light, and rushed towards the energy circle. This speed. Jia Yan sighed. The Zerg Queen did not use any extremely strenuous strength, but she turned into a stream of light in an instant. If she were to attack Jia Yan would not have time to react, and she would kill him in one breath. Of course, that's because the two sides are close. If they were enemies, Jia Yan would not let the other side come so close. The reason why I didn't feel the Zerg Queen just now was because the other party had this ability, and because Jia Yan deliberately let the Zerg Queen get close to her. If they are really enemies. Jia Yan thought for a while, and estimated that he was less than 30% sure about retreating into the subspace just now. As for whether he could quickly use the subspace talent to escape to the 10th degree, he was only about 20% sure. From this point of view, it seems that facing the Zerg Queen, there is really no possibility of escape for him. That's right, let alone the Zerg Queen. Even the Territory Lord who missed the sneak attack was still seriously injured. I am already in the 7th dimension and was almost killed by others. In a normal space, the opponent if they come to attack me, my chances of escaping are slim. The Zerg Queen can seriously injure the opponent, so it's normal that I'm more likely to die. Jia Yan sighed bitterly. It is obvious that he has improved his strength, but walking around, there are beings who are scarier than him. Even Jia Yan, who was not the Territory Lord but the Black Sheep, felt that if he really started fighting just now, he would have no way to deal with him except escaping into the 10th dimension. When will my strength reach the Domain Lord level? Otherwise, it will be so frustrating. Jia Yan smiled bitterly. But he also thought that every level has its unpleasantness, and there are also enemies that cannot be dealt with. Maybe when he reaches the Domain Lord level, he will lament why he has not reached the high-level existence. No, when I reach Territory Lord, Will I be able to face a powerful territory lord like the Zerg Queen? I don't think so. I may still have to pretend to be a grandson for a while. When I think about it, I always feel that the future is bleak. Jia Yan forced himself not to think so much. Following the stream of light from the Zerg Queen, it quickly turned into a ray of light. The huge giant mosquito figure rushed into the energy circle in an instant. Wow, so fast, this Jia Yan has actually reached such strength. This speed is much faster than the average galaxy mid-level. It is said that he is not a speed-type existence in normal space. Then his other strengths. We thought we had made good progress recently, but with Jia Yan alone outside, he made even greater progress than we imagined. Forget it, let's try not to get involved in the matter between Jia Yan and Black Sheep in the future. This is just two great gods competing. A group of galaxy-level beings observing the scene in the dark, each one showing slight shock. Jia Yan's strength was not something that anyone thought was extraordinary before. At most, he was just a talented person with promising future prospects. But now, Jia Yan has rushed to the intermediate galaxy. Even for him, he is just the first to enter the intermediate galaxy. But for other galaxy-level beings, his strength is compared with before. That was truly a sea change. If in the past, there was any conflict between Jia Yan and the Black Sheep, it goes without saying that everyone would definitely be on the Black Sheep's side, because regardless of their strength or the right to speak, they were all on the Black Sheep's side. Of course they knew what to do. Choose. But now it's different. Jia Yan's own strength has already reached the middle level of galaxy. Even though it seems that there is still a certain gap compared to Black Sheep, judging from the way Jia Yan dared to almost attack Black Sheep just now, he is against Black Sheep. It's a little different to be confident that I can save my life in the battle with the Black Sheep. Many onlookers thought it was better not to participate in the fight between Jia Yan and Black Sheep. He didn't care how many creatures in the outside world talked about and viewed Jia Yan. In short, he wanted to feel proud when he returned this time. Jia Yan was quite satisfied with being treated like this by these people. He had suffered a lot in this energy circle before. After entering the energy circle with the Zerg Queen, he was a little surprised along the way. The surrounding environment is naturally different from when he left. For example, on the planets, there are many more planets at this time than during the previous flight. At least Jia Yan saw better galaxy-level beings in his sight, and actually had 2 planets as his territory. These are all brought from outside. It can be seen that after the space became larger, the Zerg Queen turned a blind eye when it came to meeting such small requirements. As for the palace, Jia Yan looked at the huge palace in the distance, but there was no change. Also, the palace was different from the planet, and it could not be changed just by changing it. After entering the palace, the scene was very similar to before. When he reached the center of the main hall, Jia Yan felt more and more familiar, because he had lived here before and listened to the teachings and guidance of the Zerg Queen every day. Okay, Jia Yan, tell me what you have experienced in the outside world during the past year or two. The Zerg Queen went to her usual place in the main hall, crawled down quietly, and looked at Jia Yan, who followed her into the main hall. Jia Yan looked around and saw that there was no living creature, because in an open place, the palace was much deserted than before. It's like this. I wanted to be promoted at first, so I went to the outside world and started to improve my strength. 2 mid-level galactic beings came to my door. Jia Yan didn't look much, and just got off the energy circle. After he was promoted halfway, 2 galaxy mid-levels came knocking on his door. After he barely killed them, he provoked the presence of the territory lord, and even almost died. Under the circumstances, around the central star field of the Milky Way, he told the story of running for his life and escaping the pursuit along the way, like pouring beans. However, during this period, he did not make it clear about his mutation. He only said that it would take some time for him to adapt to his strength, So he did not directly return to the power after escaping for the first time. Even in the process of returning to the Force, he encountered a sneak attack by another territory lord and almost died again. After Jia Yan finished speaking, he stopped talking. During this period, the Zerg Queen seldom interrupted him, but asked Jia Yan some questions at certain key points. Obviously, she didn't believe it at the beginning, but gradually became convinced after listening to Jia Yan's true description. After a while, the Zerg Queen nodded. If things are really as you said, then thank you for your hard work. I will send someone to investigate. Your matter is very big, and everyone in the starry sky should be aware of it. If the situation I investigate is not what you said, even you dare to make anything up, Jia Yan, you know the result. But if it is true as you said, then you can come to me in the future and ask for some rewards and compensation. What do you think? Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1976. In the final analysis, it was the Zerg Queen and others who were afraid that Jia Yan would affect the energy circle and affect everyone's cultivation, so they let Jia Yan go to the outside world. If they had been more responsible, Jia Yan wouldn't have to go through so many life and death hardships. What's even more depressing is that after finally finding out the location of the Force, he ran back in a hurry. On the way, there was a sneak attack by the Domain Master who obviously had the information. It can be said that Jia Yan survived, which was another miracle. Therefore, the compensation mentioned by the Zerg Queen is absolutely necessary, otherwise Jia Yan would be deviating from his morality if he said it. Of course, these must be real things. Yes, but I hope Her Majesty Queen will not use Black Sheep's people to investigate. Jia Yan made no secret of his distrust of Black Sheep. The Zerg Queen looked at him deeply, and then said in emotionless words, "Of course I know. Well, you have just returned, you must be tired. I have arranged a new planet residence for you. You can leave first. If you have anything to do, let's talk about it another day." Okay. On Jia Yan's training planet, a giant mosquito was practicing hard. This mosquito reaches a size of 30 kilometers. Even if it were placed on a planet, it would not be considered a small thing. It would be a huge monster like a super mountain. Jia Yan was not busy building his own practice place because his time was precious. Puff puff. Along with the giant mosquito's cultivation, on this huge Earth-like planet with a diameter of more than 5,000 kilometers, rocks were flying, and strong winds of 10 or 20 levels were howling. He has now reached the middle level of the galaxy, so he naturally has such huge power. Whirring. From Jia Yan's needle-like mouthparts, sounds like breathing could be heard from time to time. Getting stronger every moment. In fact, the previous conflict with Black Sheep is what motivates Jia Yan to practice now. To him, the Black Sheep was the only most dangerous entity that needed attention these days. It's hard to talk about enemies, because if Black Sheep is willing, Jia Yan is absolutely willing to live in peace and openness with him. It's a pity that Luohua is ruthless on purpose. Even if Jia Yan is willing to do this, Black Sheep will definitely not give up. The two are like water and fire in the same force, incompatible. Very good. The pressure that Black Sheep brought to me made me want to practice more. Besides, I have just reached the middle level of galaxy, and my strength will explode for a period of time. I believe it won't be long, his strength will be getting closer and closer to the second strongest person under the title of the self-proclaimed Queen of the Zerg. Jia Yan smiled slightly. He looked around, and the world was filled with terrifying power. Just looking at his own training process, you can get some clues about how terrifying a mid-level galaxy powerhouse is. He is a creature who has reached the intermediate level of the galaxy, and he is also an intermediate galaxy with good talent. When he is practicing, his momentum is naturally huge. Jia Yan could feel that within a short period of time, as long as he was willing, even a planet with a diameter of 5,000 kilometers under his feet could be cracked with a few blows if he tried his best. That could really destroy the planet. Even if the Earth is a planet with a diameter of more than 10,000 kilometers, he feels that if he wants to, with a certain amount of force, the Earth will be broken into pieces in less than 20 blows. Although it is not possible yet, it is very close to that kind of strength. Unknowingly, had I reached such a terrifying level? Jia Yan was a little stunned. It's a pity, he smiled bitterly, that with such strength, he still has to pursue his dreams in a force, and still wants to become stronger and stronger. Perhaps, this is human desire, which never ends. When I first wanted to realize the dream of a starry sky beast, I kept working hard, but later on I became a starry sky beast, but I thought about the galaxy level, now I am thinking about becoming a territory lord. As expected, after I am territory lord, I will also think about becoming a high-level galaxy. There is a high probability that I will still want to reach the peak after I reach a high level. Even if I reach the peak, I will probably target him again. Super galaxy. Jia Long wanted to laugh at himself. This kind of pursuit is simply endless, which is scary to think about. But it was precisely because of his pursuit that he felt alive. Otherwise, after being reborn as a giant mosquito, he would feel like he was no longer alive. Sometimes, I really miss the time when I was a human being. I keep thinking about the days when I would quarrel with my sister and my parents over little things, and then go to the roadside stall to eat barbecue with my classmates. Ah! Jia Yan continued his practice while recalling. In fact, even if he uses a little thought to think about things, most of his thoughts can still be cultivated continuously. For people who can control so many clones at the same time, it is not difficult to think with just a few thoughts. This is also the reason why Jia Yan doesn't feel that cultivation is very difficult. After all, you can always let go of some thoughts to think, such as thinking about the leisurely life before, thinking about the previous battles, thinking about things that are not there, or even opening an interstellar network and running up to scold other creatures. Chatting and the like. He even thought about finding a game and continuing to play it, but after thinking that it was not interesting, he gave up. But Jia Yan's practice is like a shot in the arm to other galaxy-level beings in the outside world. Except for Jia Yan, it seems that other galaxy-level beings, although they can also separate other thoughts and multitask, are far less relaxed than Jia Yan. Jia Yan has also thought about this. It seems to be his own unique talent, and it is a very hidden talent. He just doesn't know where it comes from. Subspace talents can be said to be the talents of one's own race, but this kind of multitasking talent is a bit hard to imagine. Could it be because I am a reborn person? Yes, I had my own mind when I was a weak mosquito. This is absolutely impossible for a mosquito to imagine, and this mind my strength has always been with me, allowing me to overcome pain and discomfort every time. Speaking of which, I have been able to cultivate to such an extent that my mental strength and talent seem to be the most vulnerable existence. Jia Yan thought in his mind and stopped when he thought of this. Regarding mental things, to any strong person, they are like illusory myths. Even Jia Yan knows that this kind of thing is just an excuse at best. In short, it can only explain his talent. Think too much. It's useless. The galaxy red level beings from the outside world, as well as more stellar level powerhouses, as well as a bunch of newly recruited ordinary weaklings, are all observing from a distance. This man, who has just returned to the power, dares to confront Black Sheep 2 at the door. Handle the presence of confrontation. But Jia Yan is just practicing, which makes everyone admire him a little, but there is nothing else. He didn't even go out to say hello to his next door neighbors, and he didn't even prepare to tidy up his relatively primitive planet. He just kept practicing on the surface of the planet, causing sand and rocks to fly every day, making it extremely dirty. This is like a human home, there is dust everywhere, who would want to come and break in? So everyone gave up the idea of going to Jia Yan's place to say hello. Originally, Jia Yan had little friendship with many of them, but this did not fulfill Jia Yan's wish. Boom boom boom. Jia Yan's strength on the planet is improving bit by bit. Outside the starry sky, there is still some will left here, silently observing Jia Yan's cultivation process. This Jia Yan, his newly improved strength actually has another explosive period. This is normal. It's just the promotion period after the breakthrough. Every mid-level galaxy existence will go through this process. In other words, after every strong person improves his strength, there will be a period of rapid improvement in strength. I know, but have you forgotten? This guy just escaped the pursuit of the two territory lords before. That's right. If he continues to improve, that black sheep guy is probably having a headache now. Several middle-level galactic powerhouses with astonishing strength can still see Jia Yan practicing outside this space, but they can still see Jia Yan practicing, and can even communicate with them using the power of brain waves. Guys, I don't mind if you come and break in, but it's a bit unreasonable to just stay at my door and observe. They were chatting quietly here, and without noticing, a loud voice suddenly came from under the planet. Well, we are being unreasonable, Your Excellency Jia Yan, we are leaving now. Several people with huge power who thought they were not noticed suddenly felt embarrassed and left one after another. On that training star, Jia Yan snorted coldly, and then withdrew his brainwave power. However, because of the existence of these powers, Jia Yan realized that within the Zerg Queen's sphere of influence, in addition to the Black Sheep, there were still several powerful galaxy intermediate beings. Originally, the power of the Zerg Queen was a collection of powerful people from around the Zerg territory. Except for the Domain Lord creatures who couldn't help but join in, other galactic levels, whether they were primary or elementary galaxies, as long as they were willing to join, the Zerg Queen is open to all comers, so it is not surprising that there are quite a few powerful mid-level galactic beings here. Especially these few, even if their power and strength are not as good as those of Black Sheep, they still dare to ignore Black Sheep. It can be seen that their strength is indeed good. Jia Yan thought about it for a while and didn't care so much. He didn't think about winning over these beings because there was no need. It is estimated that these guys don't recognize their own strength. Even if they can escape from the hands of the Domain Master creature, they can't do it. They may not even be able to do it by the Black Sheep, but Jia Yan uses his subspace talent. Even in the process, external forces like the Edissa were used. Not to mention that they looked down on him, even Jia Yan himself felt that this was not his own strength. So he's waiting. He still has a short period of time for his strength to explode. After this period of time, it will be a period for his strength to explode in the central star field of the Milky Way. That's right, what does every creature that arrives here want? Naturally, it is an explosion of strength. In the eyes of the outsiders in the central star region of the galaxy, even in extremely barbaric places, there are beings who can cultivate to the middle level of the galaxy. If placed in the central star region of the galaxy, even if they are not top-notch geniuses, their accumulation is absolute. After arriving, everyone will have a short burst of strength based on their own talents. Regardless of using external materials or relying solely on the energy of the star space here, every newcomer will have such a period. After this period of explosive strength, the next step is for the 8 immortals to cross the sea, each relying on his or her own abilities. Of course, for Jia Yan, he is definitely not the one without talent. Therefore, the strength of the 2 consecutive jumps has exploded. Even Black Sheep has had a burst of strength for a period of time, but he is confident that as long as Black Sheep is not suddenly promoted to the strength of a Domain Lord, then he will quickly get closer to the strength. Of course, if the Black Sheep reaches the Territory Lord, well, then Jia Yan will find a reason to tuck his tail between his legs and escape for a while. He will not come back until he is strong enough to compete with ordinary domain lords or to protect himself. After arriving in the central star field of the Milky Way, he finally understood that at least in this star field, there is an absolute need for a force. If he does not do this, he will inevitably be in danger if he works alone, unless he is at the domain lord level. Even the territory lord may not be safe. Otherwise, why would a power like the Zerg Queen be created? There must be a reason for the painstaking effort. Just like this time, she dealt with a territory lord, and another territory lord immediately appeared and had a will battle with the Zerg Queen. During this period, if it weren't for other strong men holding back other mid-level galactic beings, the Zerg Queen will probably face not only the two territory lords, but also other mid-level galactic creatures. Although the territory lord doesn't care that much about ordinary mid-level existences in the galaxy, he can be killed with just one slap. But when it comes to the terrifying mid-level existence of the galaxy like the last black sheep, who has almost reached the level of territory lord, the situation is different. One slap turned into two slaps. The opponent's attack will also have a certain impact on yourself. If there are too many mid-level galaxies like this, they will have a great impact on the domain lord. In addition, if they face other domain lord creatures, it may be fatal. The Zerg Queen must have thought about similar problems a long time ago, so she began to recruit a large number of galactic creatures in her own star field. Even the Queen of the Zerg is unavoidable from such worries. For me, relying on a force is a more important thing. At least until I reach the realm of Domain Master, this force is still necessary. Jia Yan also thought of the previous great person of his evolutionary beast race. It is the senior Tianji who is still protecting the Orion arm in his own way. That senior, when he died, was probably worse than the Zerg Queen, but not much different. Moreover, he was the #1 strongest person in the starry sky in the Orion arm where there were not many super strong people at all. But was hunted down by a group of territory lords, and finally had to die of hatred. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1977. This shows that if you don't have your own power or small circle, there will still be some problems. Well, so to speak, my attitude towards this group of comrades just now was actually wrong. Well, let's just be better friends with them in the future. My relationship with them didn't seem to be too bad in the past. Even some of them are still chatting with each other frequently, so they should be able to be saved. After thinking for a long time, Jia Yan thought about what was wrong with him. It is different from the situation where the thoughts of other people's clones will affect the real body. Because he has mastered a large number of clones time and time again to carry out battles or complex actions, Jia Yan's control of his own thoughts has almost reached the point of perfection. Therefore, whatever he thinks will not be affected by his own practice, and conversely, it will not affect his own practice either. After a period of time, Jia Yan was very strange. He stopped his practice amidst the observation of many powerful people. He got up and ran outside the planet. Oh, I asked why all the powerful people have relatively good planets. It turns out that there are some creatures that help build buildings. Jia Yan was a little surprised. On every powerful planet in this energy circle, there were relatively perfect buildings, many of which were extremely beautiful. They would probably be very happy to practice. At first, he thought it was because people lived longer and could build houses. He didn't build it himself because he didn't want to make a fool of himself. But now I see that it is not those strong people who have this ability, but there is a special construction team in this energy circle. Almost all members of the construction team are star level or above, with astonishing strength, and they must have a lot of experience in construction, so they use their brainwave power to quickly complete a project together. A desolate planet. Jia Yan wanted to scold himself in his heart. If he had known better, he would have seen more, and he would not have been so foolish as to practice on such a desolate planet and be watched in vain. Come here and help me decorate my planet. Jia Yan called a star-level existence that was under construction. Oh, okay, Mr. Jia Yan, our charges are 50,000 standard energy for ordinary decoration of a planet, 150,000 for fine decoration, and of course 200,000 and 300,000. Which one do you want? Kind. That star-level creature obviously wasn't afraid of Jia Yan. When Jia Yan heard this, his eyes suddenly popped out. You still need money? 50,000, 300,000. This is standard energy, you guys. Jia Yan wanted to ask you why don't you go and grab it, but when he looked at the confused star-level person and then looked at the power of several galaxy-level beings in the distance, he seemed to be peeping at him, so he quickly stopped. That's right, when it comes to decorating a planet, let's not talk about the material cost of the decoration, just talk about the construction of these stars. We can't let people waste their brainwave power and work in vain. Based on this calculation, the construction fee of 50,000 yuan is simply a bargain price. Jia Yan even wondered whether the Zerg Queen was subsidizing these stellar beings. Okay, I'll decorate the house worth 150,000 yuan, with fine decoration. Jia Yan gritted his teeth. He originally wanted to say 50,000, but after thinking about it, he was already a middle-level being in the galaxy. Moreover, among the Zerg Queen's forces, they were all beings who dared to challenge Black Sheep. He only decorated a house worth 50,000. It was a bit embarrassing, so he gritted his teeth and squeezed out the fine decoration requirement of 150,000 yuan. Okay, Master Jia Yan, we have decorated this planet, and we will help you decorate it. The star-level being nodded, and then flew back to the planet they were under renovation to carry out construction. On the entire planet, there are more than 20 stars, clanking and clanging, constantly using the power of brain waves to move this and that. They are not strong enough, but they can use certain technological items and their own strength to actually move around, causing volcanoes, earthquakes, tsunamis, and the like from time to time across the planet. This planet actually has a sea. Damn it, my planet is nothing but rocks. I don't know what I can decorate it into. Jia Yan looked at someone else's planet. There was a sea on it. Because it had been decorated to a certain extent, he could see that there were large tracts of beautiful beaches on the sea. Even the decoration staff deliberately placed the planet in the center of the energy circle. The fake stars are in their authentic positions, so the waves intersect with day and night from time to time, which is simply beautiful. Jia Yan looked back and looked at the deserted planet he had chosen in order to be bigger, which was full of jet black stones. He felt like crying. Looking at it this way, his mother's mood during practice is gone. He didn't want to look any further and left directly to communicate with people outside. In fact, 150,000 Biao clan energy is a lot of money for Jia Yan. In the interstellar world, it is not a place like Earth where money is used to buy things, or gold and diamonds are king, because money it is meaningless to place things like gold on the interstellar world. Even things like diamonds are useless on many gas stars or planets with unique environments. On the contrary, the material of energy has a great effect on any strong person or civilized force, so this kind of thing has become the basic material of quantity and price. But 150,000 energy substances, to Jia Yan, is like an astonishing amount that is completely unacceptable. You must know that he only spent less than 2 million mutation energy in the middle-level mutation of the galaxy. If he hadn't come back when I was there, I grabbed a handful of the game operator's energy. At this time, I really couldn't afford so much decoration money. Forget it, I still need face. If I continue to practice like that, it will be embarrassing. There is another point, that is, my state during practice is all seen by others. It doesn't matter if others see it. Black sheep can pass through my. He cultivates his strength and senses the progress of my cultivation. When he feels that my strength cannot be suppressed, he will definitely come to cause trouble. Jia Yan thought about it. $150,000 was quite necessary. After all, other people's decorations all have a roof or something, or at least something like mist, covering themselves inside the planet, thus blocking other people's prying eyes. This is the house. To be honest, Jia Yan gradually became accustomed to using the planet as a house for the strong. After all, he has reached the galaxy level. It is already unacceptable for him to have 2 or 3 galaxy levels living together on the same planet. Therefore, it is necessary for Jia Yan to have a strong person on a planet. And at this time, the demand has increased even more, that is, to isolate the sight of outsiders. Unknowingly, he had reached this point. Haha, hello, are you also decorating? I remember you are Zoro, right? We met last time. How are you doing recently? Jia Yan suddenly had an idea, using his decoration as an excuse to approach the first galaxy level being he dealt with. The other party was obviously a little surprised that Jia Yan, a strong man who was not easy to approach, suddenly talked to him. But I feel relieved when I think about how indifferent Jia Yan was before he was promoted. He is also a mid-level galaxy existence. He had the same attitude as Jia Yan before, that is, he was not prepared to spend a lot of money to add any decorations to the planet where he practiced. But seeing that others had decorated it, and the effects were quite good, so ever, he also started decorating. Speaking of this, he was very talkative. Haha, Mr. Jia Yan, are you also planning to decorate your own cultivation planet? Actually, I didn't want to decorate it before, but everyone has done this kind of thing. I wouldn't be a gregarious person if I don't do it, and I just watch others decorate it. In all kinds of beautiful ways, I really can't help it. Don't tell me, just look at the half-finished appearance now. I feel that my mood will be much better after I practice. It's probably like this. What you did this time is right, even if we have to leave. The Zerg Queen said that we can take the planet with us, and the future will not be without gain, haha. It's time to leave. How can you take the planet with you? Jia Yan glanced sideways at the other person, feeling a little cursed in his heart. But the other party probably wants to practice with the Zerg Queen to the Domain Lord level. At that level, just like the Zerg Queen, he can borrow certain technological help to create a small energy circle and move quickly. This pair territory lord creatures are nothing, so this planet can be taken away. Yes, I also think your planet is great. The ocean is unlucky on my side. There's not even a drop of water, it's all stones and sand. Alas, even if I can take it with me in the future, I won't even want to take it with me. Your Excellency Jia Yan, don't think like that. Look, my planet is only 2,000 kilometers in diameter, and yours is 5,000 kilometers in diameter. The value of this planet alone is different. It's desolate, it is indeed. It's a little deserted, but you have to believe in the professional ability of the construction team. Last time, I saw another friend who was a beginner in the galaxy pick an ice and snow planet that no one else wanted. He was so angry that he didn't expect the construction team. He was made into an ice star, and the whole starry sky was lit up. Now that guy refuses to come out of his ice palace every day, saying that he will take it wherever he goes, so you can expect that a planet as big as yours will definitely it can be fixed as well. The other party quickly comforted Jia Yan. Moreover, in his words, he always envied Jia Yan for living in a big house. The treatment of galaxy level and galaxy level is also different in this starry sky. The strength of Jia Yan, a mid-level star, is much different from that of a mid-level star like him. He even knew that even if Jia Yan didn't rush to the mid-level star, he wouldn't be able to defeat Jia Yan, so I don't think there's anything to be unhappy about. Jia Yan's planet is several times larger than his, but the cost of maintaining and moving the planet is much higher. It doesn't matter if he lives smaller, it doesn't matter if it's 2,000 kilometers away. The diameter is still 5,000 kilometers in diameter, which is enough for creatures like them, which are tens of kilometers in size. In this way, Jia Yan used planet decoration as an excuse to greet him back. When he returned to his own planet, Jia Yan was a little dizzy. Because of the feeling of this scene, he was a little panicked. He recalled his parents and relatives when he was born as a human on Earth, as well as what was said on the internet about buying a house furnish. Everyone showed off their own planet, and then secretly talked about which decoration was better, which one suited their mood better, and then compared with each other. Oh no, why do I always feel that this is a bit weird? We are all galaxy-level existences, how can this be like this? Jia Yan looked at the most majestic and beautiful palace in the entire starry sky, and felt that this kind of atmosphere was brought out by the Queen of the Zerg. Alas, the upper beam is not straight and the lower beam is crooked. Hey, didn't I want to go out and ask how the last battle was? Why did running around turn into talking about family affairs, decoration, and a lot of gossip? After lying back on his deserted planet, Jia Yan was slightly startled, then smiled bitterly. He felt that as a galaxy-level person like him, when he returned to a group of galaxy-level beings, he turned into an ordinary creature, and all he talked to was trivial matters. But, looking back, Jia Yan was actually a little happy. Because he knew that after he was in the Orion Arm and even during the period when life on Earth became stronger, he was completely separated from the group, and there was never any circle worthy of him to associate with. Even after joining the Zerg Queen for a while, he was not quite sure of his position. Now this time when he went out to communicate, everyone had almost equal status in the conversation. From the trivial things, he found the feeling of a rather novel small group. Haha, actually communicating with others is quite interesting. I just don't know how this planet of mine can be decorated with 150,000 UN. It's better not to be embarrassed. In fact, what surprised Jia Yan was that the construction team was extremely fast. It only took 3 days for the other party to decorate the ocean planet and then transfer it to him. Master Jia Yan, can you tell us about Jich's thoughts? Give us some of your ideas, and then we can decorate it. The stellar being who once communicated with Jia Yan came to Jia Yan via Shiyuan. Because he had communicated with Jia Yan, it seemed that he was the person communicating this time. It's like this. This desolate planet of mine feels too desolate, and the entire planet is full of black broken stones, with some dark spots. Please help me decorate it in another style. Just don't be so gray. Okay. The other party actually agreed without any reluctance at all. Next, Jia Yan saw what this special strong construction team was capable of. They used their brainwave power to move a large number of stones and gray mountain peaks to one place, and then used a terrifying scientific instrument to burn them. The fires raised the temperature of the entire planet. After spraying for a day, those gray stones changed color, and because they were made of various substances, including metal content, they actually became colorful and dazzling. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1978. Damn. He is indeed a professional. With just such a move, Jia Yan's eyes lit up. Although he is at the galaxy level, compared to professional skills, it is difficult for him to compare with any weak creature. After all, there are specialties in magic. Next, the work of this construction team is to handle the details. They began to place a large number of colorful stones everywhere, and things like mountain peaks were even more carefully placed in certain sequences. The sense of beauty gradually emerges. Master Jia Yan, your half-finished planet is so beautiful. The middle-level being in the galaxy with an ocean planet came to visit Jia Yan when the planet was in the middle of construction. Because the two planets are only 30,000 to 40,000 kilometers apart and can be seen far away, they are considered neighbors. Jia Yandu often looks at space at night and is very envious when he sees this ocean planet. Now that the other party saw the large and beautiful planet Jia Yan occupying a large area of the starry sky, his mouth was watering. It was still pitch black before, but when the fire burned, everything changed, and those group of star-level weaklings were even more powerful. With a plan, they actually made this planet look beautiful, and he was a little bit envious. Fortunately, his own ocean star is not too different, both are very beautiful. No, your ocean star is actually in line with my aesthetics, ha 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 ha. Lord Jia Yan is joking. If you like it so much, I will exchange with you whether you are willing or not. Jia Yan turned to look at each other. The two zinc levels were silent for a long time, and then they laughed at the same time. Ha ha ha. Both of them are actually satisfied with their own planet. After all, they are instructing the decoration team to decorate the planet. The style that finally appears is completely suitable for them, so there is no way to change it with others. Jia Yan was just talking. The middle-level creature from the galaxy felt a little sympathetic to Jia Yan in this laughter. Jia Yan, I heard that you had a quarrel with Black Sheep, and you were also arrogant. I was originally wondering if I wanted to make friends with you, but now I see that you are not as hard to get in touch with as the legend says. Haha, if you don't mind, are we friends now? We must make friends. Besides, we are still neighbors. We can't see each other when we look up. It will be very difficult in the future if we don't make friends. Jia Yan pointed to the other party's planet, which was not far from Jia Yan. Of course, this is in the starry sky. If the relationship between the two parties is really not good, it is still very convenient to apply to the above to move the planets away. But Jia Yan knows that the other party is dating him, which is what he originally wanted to do. How could he refuse? It felt good that they were chatting. Haha, okay, future neighbors, let's get to know each other. The other party smiled slightly. Jia Yan didn't ask his name or anything. In fact, we all knew each other before, but our relationship has become better now. Not long after, Jia Yan sent this existence away. He said he was sending him away, but in fact he just returned to his own planet. An animal that is 30 or 40 kilometers in size moves on a planet with a diameter of about 2,000 kilometers. To be honest, even people on Earth can see it clearly from such a close distance, unless the other party turns on the planets. The foggy weather system made it as if the curtains were closed so that Jia Yan could not see anything. But the other party didn't close the curtains, but just entered a house-like building on the planet. Jia Yan didn't look much at it. He just wanted to get to know more people while decorating these days. Using the excuse of planet decoration, he got to know many galactic-level people. He even went to say hello to the star-level talents. Even the star-level people who were renovating them, Jia Yan used his eloquence. Having a friendly relationship with someone, and while the other person was flattered, it also made the construction quality of his planet a little better. Very good. This kind of social interaction should have initially changed other people's impression of me as someone who is relatively distant from others. After Jia Yan was busy for a while, he vaguely reviewed himself and thought that there was nothing wrong in what he did. Even doing well. He was busy, but the harvest was good. At least around this starry sky, some of the so-called neighbors are familiar with him. They are at least polite on the surface, and they all understand that Jia Yan does not seem to be as difficult to contact as rumored. Jia Yan also learned how to give gifts, but the gifts he gave out didn't seem to be that good. He doesn't have much money, or energy, anymore. He spent 150,000 on renovations. It's like throwing away half of the energy he finally got back. If there is no gain, he will start again. Become poor. Jia Yan's cultivation path has always been in a very difficult process, because he has been under each strength level and has not stayed for a long time. He is about to face the preparation of materials for the next level of strength improvement, however, he has always had no accumulation of wealth, especially at the level of strength of this middle-level galaxy. Compared with the average first-level galaxy, his family wealth is thinner, let alone compared with those with rich wealth. Therefore, everyone's impression of him being difficult to contact has changed a bit, but their impression of him being stingy has improved. After Jia Yan found out, he could only smile bitterly. At least this was much better than saying that he was arrogant because of his talent, right? Okay, sir, you can check in now. Thank you, come and drink energy water from me when you have time. Okay, thank you Mr. Jia Yan for your care. A group of stellar construction teams quickly left Jia Yan's planet. Jia Yan turned around and looked at the planet that he had completely constructed. A planet with a diameter of 5,000 kilometers is half smaller than the diameter of the Earth. Although it is not as big as Mars, it is almost smaller. Such a big planet is actually beautifully decorated, and the entire planet is full of colorful scenes. Certain peaks are used for viewing by Jia Yan. There is also the ocean that Jia Yan envies. Although there is no ocean on this planet, the construction team saw that Jia Yan was envious of other people's oceans, and they also found a way to separate water from the bottom of the planet, although it is not an ocean. But it is also hundreds of kilometers wide, enough for Jia Yan to take a bath in it. With such a good environment, Jia Yan would definitely take her with him if he wanted to leave. This is the life of the strong. The life I lived before was nothing like life. I had no enjoyment at all. Jia Yan felt that he was a little assimilated by the strong people's enjoyment of life. Fortunately, he has not forgotten that he does these things, on the one hand, to provide himself with a good cultivation environment, and on the other hand, to give him a common topic, at least in the surrounding environment that has become unfamiliar. Give yourself some room to maneuver. Jia Yan, your planet is also decorated, haha, would you like to welcome me as your first guest? The neighbor's mid-level galaxy creature came to the outside world of Jia Yan, a planet 5,000 kilometers away. Looking at the beautiful scenery of the planet below, they all sighed. The biggest advantage of Jia Yan's planet is that it is larger than theirs. Among this force, the only ones bigger than Jia Yan's planet are the Queen's Palace and the Black Sheep, which have unique status. Okay, please come. Jia Yan was eager for someone to come and sit as a guest. Two huge figures landed on the planet together. This stone is so beautiful. The designers are nice people and the aesthetics are great. Haha, it's obvious that this designer is the same person as the designer of my planet. The style is very similar. The neighbor kept talking, and Jia Yan occasionally responded. He was also happy that the planet was decorated, but practicing for so many days was a bit slow, and Jia Yan felt slightly anxious. Probably sensing Jia Yan's thoughts, the other party walked away for a while and then left. See you when you get a chance. Jia Yan saw off his middle-level zinged neighbor and took a deep breath. The mouthparts of the giant mosquito suck in all the delicious oxygen produced by the air modification devices installed everywhere on this planet. This air is matched with Jia Yan's most comfortable air intake ratio, and the ratio created is extremely comfortable for Jia Yan. Very good. With such a good environment, I feel that I feel comfortable practicing. However, I have lost so much practice time before, and now I have to make up for it. Jia Yan opened the planet's curtain, which is the weather system. The entire planet is covered with white clouds, but there is no rain. It only blocks the view of the outside world. With Jia Yan's slightly arranged brainwave power, no one should be so rude and deliberately destroy the planet's weather and brain. Wave power, spying on intelligence, it is no different from attacking Jia Yan. Boom boom boom. Buzz buzz. After practicing, Jia Yan felt that the planet was indeed much better than before. The flying sand and rocks caused by the cultivation disappeared, and even formed a beautiful storm of stones. According to mechanics, when the storm falls, it will also fall to the pointed location. So that Jia Yan almost had no intention of practicing. Such a meticulous design is difficult for the designers. Jia Yan slightly acknowledged the exquisite designs of those designers. But this is just one of his thoughts in the outside world, and many other thoughts are in the midst of concentrated cultivation. Edisha, have you ever calculated how many galaxy-level people I have made friends with in the past few days? How can they help me deal with black sheep in the future? Jia Yan had nothing to do and started chatting with Edisha again. Such a cultivation method is really too easy. Master, I have calculated that you have not made many friends in the past few days. The ones you really have friendship with are actually just that neighbor. The others are just casual acquaintances. They probably know that you are not that serious, they are just indifferent people. As for dealing with the black sheep, none of them may be able to use it, but this is also helpful to you, at least there are fewer people who are completely swayed by the black sheep. Editha actually became a more understanding being after the last game. Jia Yan smiled and nodded. He knew that Edisha was right. This little guy. It really looks more and more like a living creature. Jia Yan thought to himself silently. Just like Edisha said, when he faced the black sheep, he had to rely more on his own strength. If he made friends with other galaxy-level beings in the outside world, he would definitely be no match for the black sheep and they would be together forever. Time together. It's just a matter of getting familiar with each other first, which is already good. We'll do the future things in the future. The strength of black sheep, is it the master of the near domain? My current strength. Boom boom boom. Jia Yan felt his own strength in cultivation, and after a slight pause, he finally figured it out. This kind of strength is actually about the same as that of a mid-level being in the galaxy. But my strength cannot be calculated like this. I still have my yin and yang dao. Once those explosives are ready, I can kill people a few levels higher. The enemy, even the domain lord creature, would be frightened if not noticed. Besides, I still have my subspace talent. The previous escapes from the domain master creatures have shown that my escape ability, at least with the help of the Edisha, will be more amazing. Now, I will first improve my strength in the short period of time after my promotion. What I get is my own. Jia Yan has been waiting to see if his actual combat ability will be greatly improved after his short-term strength improves. But after half a month passed, he came out of seclusion and couldn't help but shake his head slightly. Because in this half-month, he spent all the last period of strength growth after mutation and promotion, but found that the situation was not as good as he thought. The burst of strength is indeed there, but it is not to the extent that Jia Yan wants. In general, compared to when I returned to the Zerg Queen, I am about 10% stronger than when I returned to the Zerg Queen. 10% is already a lot, but this 10% strength is compared to existences such as Black Sheep. It's definitely not enough. Jia Yan was neither disappointed nor happy, because this was almost what he expected. In this way, I have to steadily improve my strength again. Fortunately, I have improved my strength by 10%. I am more sure of some of my strengths. For example, my escape ability in subspace will be better than before. Come on, I dare not say that against the Territory Lord, but against a creature like the Black Sheep that is close to the Territory Lord, I will definitely be very confident about escaping. Jia Yan is still certain of his slight improvement in strength this time. However, the final promotion this time allowed Jia Yan to completely squander the energy he had blackmailed, borrowed from the game operation office. Now he has once again become a poor man who is short of money. Next, he will have to make money in order to continue to improve his strength. And when you come to the central star field of the Milky Way, you have to do these things to get the high-level cultivation energy that Jia Yan wants. Otherwise, What would he do in such a place with constant wars? Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1979. Here at the Zerg Queen, there are several ways to earn energy. One is to conduct conquests all around. To put it bluntly, it is to grab resources and compete for territory, and this kind of competition is very dangerous. As for the second point, it is to sit in the territory that has been fought over, but the benefits are very low. Actually, there is a third point, which is that tasks such as trading, management, and protection can all yield good returns, but it requires a lot of professional abilities. Now that the Zerg Queen has just settled in this starry sky, she doesn't dare to expand and occupy territory. It will definitely be extremely dangerous to conquer these areas, but if I don't do this, there seems to be no other gains. Jia Yan made plans to take on those seemingly dangerous battle missions. Because he has nothing to gain, even if he can do some things, because of the little harvest, for a mid-level galaxy existence, it is simply impossible to make ends meet. Therefore, at this stage, the only way to do it is to take on those battle missions. You can get your own good harvest. As for existences like Black Sheep, because they are already a bit like the Queen of the Zerg, they can't move easily, and the whole body can be affected by a single move. They are the trigger of the war, so they don't dare to move, so they can only let Jia Yan do this. The sub-level existence takes action to sit on the front line. However, beings like Jia Yan are already among the top shooting beings, and if they are higher up, they are at the level of Black Sheep. Let me see where the Zerg Queen and the others have been recently. Jia Yan is watching the Zerg Queen and their war front lines and the results of the battle. In fact, he had already read this information as soon as he returned to the energy circle. After all, he would not be able to settle down and practice well without reading it. Regarding the recent war, our side should not truly occupy the territory of the two domain lords, because the follow-up danger is very high. Jia Yan took a look. In this starry sky, the area that really belongs to the Zerg Queen and her gang is this energy circle covering an area of tens of millions of kilometers. Even this energy circle is, in a sense, other people's territory, just the Zerg. The Queen just came and took possession of it arrogantly. As for the so-called conquest of territory, it is to conquer the territory of the more seriously injured domain lord creature among the two domain lord creatures, and it is only the business rights of that territory, rather than taking away all administrative rights. For the Zerg Queen and her group, the purpose of reaching the central star field of the Milky Way is to find future opportunities, rather than to expand territory in the edge areas. This is not their primary purpose, and it is definitely not what the Zerg Queen wants. Result: if she had only such a small ambition, there wouldn't be so many strong people following her, not even Jia Yan. If you look at the business rights that have been seized, this territory is huge. Now we have seized the business rights of more than 50 planets in 2 star systems, although there are also many galaxy level and star level ones. But first of all, we only want their business rights. To put it bluntly, we just want to get away with a small amount of money. Secondly, we don't want too many lives, so these resistances are not that fierce. Jia Yan saw that in these 2 star systems, there were only a few key points of the battle. One of them was advancing very slowly, while the other directions were extremely fast. Different from ordinary wars in the outside world, wars in the center of the Milky Way are truly precious. Every inch of land is precious. There are galaxy-class people participating in the war in the outside world, not just the star-class ones. Even in a large starry sky, there will be no galaxy-class intervention. Because the strength of the galaxy class is too strong, the war between the stars, to the galaxy class beings, is like children playing house, they simply don't remember such small gains and losses. But it's different in the central star field of the Milky Way. Even in the starry sky on the edge of the star field, every star system is a key place for competition. Even if a galaxy-level being fights to death here, it is normal. For example, for the 2-star level warriors, on one side, the domain lords went into battle and were seriously injured, while on the other side, the enemy lost 2-star level stars, and on our side, 1-star level star died. Jia Yan was extremely solemn, looking at the 2-star systems, with more than 50 planets on them, each with a war taking place, especially the one that was difficult to push forward. Even after going to 3 galaxy levels, he still couldn't push through. After thinking about it, he felt that his strength should still be a bit advantageous compared to the fighters on the front line. He should go to this most difficult area to solve. As for whether the enemy will send out extremely powerful galaxy level, it is not impossible, but as long as the enemy is not strong enough to be a domain lord, I should not be in much danger. I even looked at the star domain here, and that domain lord, it is the one who was seriously injured by the Zerg Queen. He needs to recuperate from his injuries and cannot attack with all his strength for at least a year or two. Presumably he will not take the risk of getting more injured and come to kill me. A first-time galaxy-level fighter, right? Jia Yan thought for a while and felt that he was not in much danger, so he clicked on a huge screen on the planet. This screen is connected to the external network, and the Zerg Queen has a huge network with an exclusive energy circle. Thousands of exclusive members in it can take on tasks and chat online. Of course, thousands of people can chat. It's not interesting. Most of the members still steal the internet and go to large-scale external networks to chat. Jia Yan even saw that in the energy circle of the Zerg Queen, there was a galaxy level who was addicted to games, but he didn't know this one. Is the galaxy class playing as a galaxy class on the internet? Probably not. It just happened that my strength has improved, and I don't know what the actual combat situation will be like. In addition, I have to test the long-distance different space assassination method that I learned before, so this battle is absolutely necessary. Jia Yan thought a lot, and then naturally clicked the accept button for the frontline mission. Naturally, the person who has overlooked this kind of task is the Zerg Queen herself. Oh, does Jia Yan want to complete that mission? Well, he has been back for a while, and I can just see to what extent his actual combat ability has reached. He must dare to challenge Black Sheep, or even the existence that escaped the pursuit of the domain master creature should give me a surprise. When the Zerg Queen saw Jia Yan's application in her palace, she smiled slightly and clicked to accept Jia Yan's application. At this moment, it is already a month or two after Jia Yan's return. The team sent to investigate far away has already obtained the correct answer, that is, Jia Yan was indeed killed by a man outside the central star field of the Milky Way. He was hunted down by a territory lord creature, and he really managed to escape from the chase of that territory lord creature. There is even more news that proves that the strength of the domain lord creature is actually about the same as that of the Zerg Queen. Even if it is weak, it is not much weaker. This shows that Jia Yan has a chance to escape from the Zerg Queen's attack. Of course, that is only possible under certain circumstances. In short, the Zerg Queen was stunned by Jia Yan's amazing record, so now she is waiting to see whether Jia Yan's strength is legendary. The hit was so powerful. Have you accepted the Queen's personal approval? I don't know if Black Sheep knows that I have accepted this task now. I hope he will find out after some time. Jia Yan saw that his mission was quickly approved, and he must have known that it was the Zerg Queen who approved it in person, so he was ready to set off. But just as he feared, Jia Yan's enemy Black Sheep was seeing his application task. Has Jia Yan applied to go on a mission? That's true. He has been traveling all the way and has little energy. I guess if he doesn't go on a mission now, he will have to live a miserable life in the central star field of the Milky Way. The Black Sheep's eyes flashed with strange color. However, the Queen of the Zerg is right next to her, and she has piercing eyes. If she goes too far, she will not be happy, and may even cause her to dislike the Black Sheep herself. That being the case, I won't do any more conspiracy. The last time I asked a territory lord to take action, the Zerg Queen was secretly suspicious of me and came to investigate me. If I do it again this time, even if she wants to rely on me again, even with my own strength and means, I have to be punished, so I can't go that far this time. After Black Sheep thought for a while, he started to connect to a certain communication network back to the headquarters. Jia Yan flew out of his decoration planet. I didn't expect that after only living here for such a short period of time, I would have to part with it. This planet is really good. You can get twice the result with half the effort when cultivating. It is simply the best place for cultivators to practice. Jia Yan felt a little regretful that he had to say goodbye to his own planet. In fact, this planet cannot be said to be of much energy help for cultivation. Even though it has been modified to absorb some energy, it is more of a psychological comfort. Don't underestimate this kind of psychological comfort. The excellent environment on this planet makes any cultivator feel at ease and practice well. Jia Yan at least increased his cultivation speed by 10% because of this planet with such a good environment. This 10% can be said to be a huge gain. All comparable to his breakthrough. No wonder many strong people have such high requirements for the environment. Let alone those with environmental energy bonuses, those without much bonus will have great psychological comfort and adjust their cultivation mood. But if I do a good job, I can come back anytime. Jia Yan stopped looking and flew away from the planet. Then, after some hesitation, he ran to the planet next door, said hello to the old neighbor, and said that he was going on a mission to take care of his planet Yunyun. In fact, the planet is not a house, so there is no need for people to take care of it. Besides, no thief would dare to break into the home of an intermediate being in the galaxy. So Jia Yan's greeting was just to maintain relations with the other party. After saying these greetings, Jia Yan finally turned his head and left the energy circle. Phew, it's out again. Flying in the vast starry sky, Jia Yan was carrying a backpack. He looked back at the huge energy circle behind him and sighed. This 1 or 2 months of returning to the energy circle was like a unique safe experience for him. In the central star field of the Milky Way, where there are many powerful people, Jia Yan believes that if he survives alone, he will probably live under pressure and tension all the time. But with such a comrade who came from a distant place, so to speak, to the central star field of the Milky Way, his sense of security was greatly enhanced. Although he is different from other strong men, he is a countryman from a star realm that is a little further away from the Zerg territory. However, such a small distance is still within the scope of influence of the Zerg tribe territory itself. This is extremely far away. In the central star field of the Milky Way, it can almost be said that they are people from the same place. In addition, they have been getting along for a long time, so Jia Yan still has at least a little trust in these fellow villagers. This is where I realize the benefits of having a force. Even if this force itself has just established a foothold in the central star field of the galaxy, because I know them well, I don't have to worry too much about whether they will do it because of me. If you are an outsider, let me die or plot against me, etc. It seems that my decision to join the Zerg Queen is not wrong. Jia Yan shook his head and flew out. Not long after flying, he rushed into a twisted subspace under the jet of the Aditha. Although the battle area is not far away, if you fly in normal space, you won't be able to reach it in several years. So we still have to use subspace flight, but we don't have to go to 10 degrees anymore. 4 or 3 degrees are enough. After Jia Yan left for a while, a black shadow emerged from the starry sky in the direction of the energy circle, from subspace or some other dimension. This black animal has a face like a sheep, but it is many times larger than the sheep on Earth, and even much larger than Jia Yan. He is the black sheep. Humph, this Jia Yan dares to take the mission, and yet he leaves like this. I didn't attack him just now, so he is lucky. It's not that Black Sheep doesn't want to make a sneak attack, But outside the energy circle, even if he makes a sneak attack, it's impossible for him to succeed. After all, an extremely powerful domain master like the Queen of the Zerg doesn't just have a nice name. He knows very well that if he leaks, if the Zerg Queen showed the idea of attacking, she would be there in an instant, and then control him. Jia Yan did not succeed in the sneak attack, but made himself the sinner of attacking his own people, which cost his wife and soldiers. But even if there is no sneak attack, you will not feel better. Black Sheep looked at the subspace that still had a shadow from a distance, then turned around and flew back to the energy circle. Jia Yan didn't seem to notice that such a terrifying black creature appeared behind him. But Jia Yan absolutely understands that every move he makes is watched by interested people. Very good, I didn't feel any attack coming. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1980. Although I am weaker than Black Sheep, if he wants to attack, I am destined to feel the crisis in an instant. After all, no matter how strong he is, he can't be stronger than the Territory Lord. I can even sense the Territory Lord's attack. I don't believe it. His attack will be faster than the sense of crisis caused by the Domain Master. Jia Yan was also worried whether Black Sheep would go crazy and take the initiative to attack him despite the fact that the Zerg Queen was right there. But just as he thought, Black Sheep was not that stupid. Since the other party will even collude with the Domain Lord, I am not naive enough to go on a mission this time. He will not interfere with the shady plot, so this trip will probably be more dangerous than I thought, but just like before I thought the same thing, as long as the other party does not use the presence of the Territory Lord, even if a creature comparable to a Black Sheep comes, I can always escape if I can't defeat it. And, I don't believe it. Such a power can have so many existences that are comparable to Black Sheep. One of them seems to have died last time. Jia Yan does not accept tasks casually. He must have his own set of evaluation ideas. For example, he will consider the opponent's Domain Master creature and whether the enemy has a stronger existence than him coming. Compared with the Territory Lord creatures, there is a certain possibility that a creature like the Black Sheep will come, but Jia Yan is not as afraid of such creatures as he is afraid of the Territory Lord. He has been growing up by killing enemies across levels. Now that his strength has improved, he seems to be more cautious in his heart, but in fact he is ready to find an opportunity to prove his strength against powerful enemies. Therefore, if there is a being similar to or weaker than the Black Sheep, although Jia Yan does not think he will win, he still wants to give it a try despite his subspace talents and various methods. Buzz buzz. In the subspace, Jia Yan had an unobstructed journey. The star system within half a light year away contains dozens of planets with a strong commercial atmosphere. These dozens of business stars are what Jia Yan is going to help promote today. Don't underestimate the dozens of commercial stars, because this is the edge area of the galaxy, and the amount of trade with the outside world is astonishing, and real treasures from the center of the galaxy often appear. If they are auctioned, the tax revenue will be astonishing, so here this is a place where the enemy will never give up. The Queen of the Zerg also regards this place as the first piece of cake, and wants to get a certain share of the harvest. After all, after arriving here, although the Zerg Queen and others have shown their faces, they have not yet recovered the cost. Not to mention the wasted energy coming from afar. It is only that after these few wars, everyone has used their accumulated energy. The cost has not been recovered yet. How could they give up such a plump land? There is a small battlefield area in the starry sky. The other party came to call for formation again. Leave it alone, they don't dare to rush in. Hey, these locals, they obviously lost the last war. Even the Domain Master creature was seriously injured and fled. They didn't know whether to live or die, and they still dared the home team to fight like this. Don't underestimate them. The locals are the locals. Although we have an advantage in terms of strength, the Queen will not let us directly annex the territory, but only business taxes, etc. We can see that, even if the Queen they don't think we can stand firm. That's right, and this battlefield is a bit hard to understand. In the last war, our side obviously won, but during the fight, we were actually pushed to the front of the position. It's simply weird. There is no way. In addition to the domain master creatures, there are more galaxy-level powerhouses. What about us? Look, there are only 5 galaxy-level people here, and there is no one like Black Sheep sitting in charge. Over there is one, although he was injured a little last time, but if he doesn't take action, he is a threat, so how can we not retreat? That's right. I don't know when Her Majesty the Queen will send a powerful galaxy-level adult to our side. Otherwise, the enemy will one day be wiped out by our positions. Then it's hard to say. Even the Queen has retreated into the energy circle to recuperate recently. She is probably a little injured from the last war. Black Sheep and others can't go out in full force. Even if we come here, we can't. Maybe he's not of Black Sheep's level. There seems to be communication. Hey, someone is really here. Jia Yan? Is it, that Jia Yan? Let me go, didn't he just get promoted to the middle level of galaxy? What's the use of him here? A yellowish star hangs alone in this starry sky. Surrounding this star is a small group of planet-like objects. In the Fuhua zone in the central star field of the Milky Way, planets are often not natural. They are likely to be pulled into the orbit from outside the normal orbit. Even the planet itself will be a strong person who has made use of countless small interstellar substances. Collision, brought together in one place. So this star system is full of traces of characters. Of course, the forces or civilization that created the star system may have long since ceased to exist, and the forces that occupied this place are just picking up people's wisdom. On this day, the few galaxy-level beings who were forced in front of the Zerg Queen's forces suddenly received some information and retreated to their positions. And the strong beings of the Zerg Queen at this end did not pursue them. The warriors and strong men on both sides had a tacit understanding, and they were all waiting for something. The arrival of a strong man is not as simple as adding another strength to a certain side. In many cases, it represents a huge change in the battle situation. Of course, the strength of this being has not yet been verified, and both sides have some suspicions. The cessation of fighting is just out of vigilance or wait and see. Puff. In the subspace, a rift suddenly opened. A huge black and golden figure gradually solidified and revealed its figure. This is a huge mosquito. But compared to those tiny mosquitoes on Earth, this mosquito is already countless times bigger, almost like a small planet. Moreover, its appearance has already surpassed the characteristics of a mosquito. If the people on the Earth were to look at it, it is probably because the people on the Earth have come into contact with many alien creatures of all kinds recently and would not dare to say that this is a mosquito on the Earth. Of course, no one on Earth would be able to recognize this creature if they saw it. He is the protector of the people on Earth, the ancestor of mosquitoes. He has helped the Earth through crises time and time again. After that, he rules the world and stands on the throne. A great existence that has achieved the highest status of the Orion arm and even made the surrounding large star fields surrender. He is Jia Yan. This starry sky is really bustling. Even during the war, there were so many commercial spaceships flying around. As soon as Jia Yan left the subspace, he almost ran into a flying commercial spaceship. The other party was frightened and quickly and respectfully stepped aside, so that Jia Yan was not hit and sunk. The war has been going on like this, and business is still developing. It can be seen that if there had been no war, this place would definitely be 10 times more prosperous than it is now. Of course, if there is no war, then even if this place is 1,000 times more prosperous, it will not matter to the people of the Zerg Queen, and they will not get the slightest benefit, so, it is better to go to war. Jia Yan didn't want to scare others. After checking the direction, he flew towards the Zerg Queen's position. On the way, Jia Yan felt that there were eyes everywhere in the starry sky, observing him. Some sights come from where you want to go, that is, from your own people. But there are also some aspects of sight that come from another position further away from the position where you want to go. This belongs to the enemy. Jia Yan smiled slightly. He knew that he would be the strongest in this position for a long time in the future. So when he first arrived, he couldn't show his timidity. He stared at the enemy's position over there, a land of extremely twisted starry sky. Hey! Jia Yan smiled slightly, then moved and rushed into the Zerg Queen's position. Call. In the enemy position behind Jia Yan's gaze, a gentle exhale sounded. The person Jia Yan looked at just now was a middle-level galaxy being. This enemy's new galaxy-level enemy is an intermediate-level galaxy. His strength is mediocre, but it's just a little strange. His fighting spirit is good, and I can see a little bit of courage to move forward. This mid-level galaxy existence is the guy closest to the black sheep in the enemy's position. For him, after seeing the arrival of Jia Yan in person, he naturally would not think that Jia Yan had the strength to rival him. Although this being had never fought against black sheep before, he had fought against another galaxy intermediate who was a little bit inferior to black sheep. During the war, he was evenly matched. Even if the people here don't know much about the strong ones on the Zerg Queen's side, they generally know that there are a few who are as strong as the black sheep, but among them there is not the giant mosquito-like guy who just came. So he didn't think there would be any pressure issues when Jia Yan came to this battlefield. However, he would not take action personally to deal with this new creature. The current situation between the two sides is not suitable for another war. Although it seems that they can take the initiative, what happens after this situation is that the territory lord on their side was seriously injured by the Zerg Queen. If a war breaks out next time, the enemy, if the invincible queen takes action herself, no one will be able to check and balance her. Therefore, they are gathering their strength, waiting for the territory lord to recover from his injuries, and waiting for the reaction of the surrounding territory lord forces. For domain lord creatures, especially those that have been beaten once, if their strengths are truly similar, it would be hard to say who is stronger after recovering from their injuries. Especially the foreign Zerg Queen, it seems that she has won once, and she has defeated two surrounding territory lords in one breath, but if these two territory lord creatures are recovering from their injuries, they have figured out how to deal with the Zerg Queen. Or there is some breakthrough in strength, then a little bit of weakness will reverse the situation in the blink of an eye. This is why the Zerg Queen is also going all out to prepare. Because she herself knows that if war breaks out again, with her strength, she may not dare to say that she will win a complete victory. We even have to be on guard. If the two territorial lords who were originally somewhat hostile join forces, then even the Queen of the Zerg will be disgraced. Ignoring the existence of this galaxy intermediate for the moment, one of you will go out to fight with him tomorrow to see how good he is. This mid-level galaxy creature, who was suspected to be close to the strength of the black sheep, said calmly to several other mid-level galaxy creatures. Yes. Several galaxy intermediate levels were not afraid at all, and were even a little eager to give it a try. As everyone can see, one side of the two sides in the battle is strong because the strong one is strong enough, but the other side is strong because the strong one is deep enough. On the other side where Jia Yan is coming, there is only one other mid-level star in the galaxy besides him, and his strength is still very weak. But this one, in addition to the peak mid-level galaxy powerhouse who is close to the strength of the black sheep, there are 4 or 5 mid-level galaxy creatures. It is precisely because of this gap in strength that the two sides cannot fight at all. The enemy is also afraid that if they regain their lost ground in one fell swoop, they will trigger a counter-attack from the Black Sheep or even the Zerg Queen, in which case they will be unlucky. Not talking about the enemy forces here, Jia Yan only said that after taking a look at a space inside the enemy's twisted camp, which had been faintly emitting a space that made him feel a little depressed, he withdrew his sight and flew into his own twisted camp. Jia Yan, it's you who's here. Long time no see. When Jia Yan entered this twisted position, it was like entering a twisted tent. Suddenly, several galaxy-level beings came forward to greet him. Jia Yan looked at it, not too arrogant, and nodded directly. You guys have worked hard on the front line. I hope I can share a little of the pressure on you. In front of Jia Yan, there is a strong man who is also a mid-level star. On the surface, he and Jia Yan should be about the same strength, so he is not so flattering to Jia Yan. Of course, thanks to Jia Yan's previous fame and so on, he didn't really think that he could be equal to Jia Yan, so he still had a trace of respect. Even he was like this, and the several galaxy-level beings next to him were even more cautious. After all, we are at the front of the battlefield. According to rumors, even the Black Sheep being dares to confront them head-on. There is actual evidence that he has escaped the pursuit of the Territory Lord creatures twice. If he attacks them, it will be very difficult. It might easily kill them, so they didn't dare to look at Jia Yanping like another intermediary star of the galaxy. Very good, it seems that some of the people here are quite knowledgeable. Jia Yan was very satisfied. After all, if he is the strongest person here, it would be a bit uncomfortable to have to take orders from others. But now it seems that these galaxy-level beings have no intention of making Jia Yan obey his orders, and they even follow his lead from the beginning. Guys, stop talking. I came here to take over a mission. Since I'm here, I will do a good job. Now just tell me about the war situation. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1981. Jia Yan greeted a few people and then entered the depths of the twisted land. The distorted land is created by the position jammer that people like to use when fighting in the big star field. After all, existences like Jia Yan are already so huge that it is difficult for any position to block their figure, so it is better to use a position like subspace distortion is more effective. No enemy can easily see what is going on inside. How many comrades from our forces are there in this position? Jia Yan looked around. Due to the distortion, it was difficult for even him to see how many combatants were waiting here. 100 at the venerable level, 30 at the star level, there are only 5 of us at the galaxy level, plus 6 of you. Several people responded to Jia Yan. A total of 136 people. Jia Yan was startled for a moment. In fact, he felt a little dazed just because of the number. But in fact, he also understands that don't underestimate the number of more than 100 people. Not to mention anything else, these 6 galaxy-level beings including him alone can destroy the Orion arm dozens of times if released. So for the world of the strong, it does not matter about quantity, but about how strong the strong is. Jia Yan nodded, and then asked, do you know the approximate strength of the enemy? Jia Yan, don't despair after hearing this. Among the several galaxy-level beings, the intermediate galaxy-level being with the same strength as Jia Yan spoke rather depressedly. We don't know much about the number of weak enemies, but what we want is just the number of galaxy-level beings, which is enough. One of their galaxy-level ones is close to our Black Sheep, and there are 4 or 5 mid-level galactic ones, and as for the basic galactic ones, I don't know the exact number, but the first few numbers are enough to give us a headache. Well. Jia Yan was startled by the series of numbers. Then, he also smiled bitterly. Sure enough, he knew that the battlefield he came to would not be an easy battlefield, otherwise the Zerg Queen would not give so many mission rewards to the battlefield here. It can be seen that this battlefield must only want to carry out the drag rule. It is almost impossible to win. No matter how optimistic and powerful they are, the Zerg Queen, they will not think that they can deal with the huge number of enemies just by relying on the number of strong people today. It's right to think about it. Each of those guys is clinging to the energy circle. In fact, they know that even if they take action, this war will not be resolved for a while. Even the Queen of the Zerg personally dispatches, even if others there is no strong person who can fight, but they have depth. When it comes to a real fight, the Zerg Queen advances for half a day, wasting a lot of energy, and can't advance much. This is a typical situation where a strong person is strong but still cannot win. Jia Yan thought about it and felt that even he had no chance of winning. So here I am, fighting in a small-scale situation. Jia Yan shook his head. That's right, Jia Yan. It's already incredible that you can win several galaxy-level games here. And it's best not to kill the opponent. They must have done the same thing. If you kill them, then both sides will be unable to stand up. In this situation, no one wants to start another war. A galaxy-level being said this to Jia Yan. He was afraid that Jia Yan still didn't understand. But Jia Yan didn't understand. After he knew the situation, he had already made a plan not to kill the strong man on the other side. The Galaxy class cannot be moved at all. As for the Star class, if they are a group of Galaxy class, if they are killed by accident, it will be nothing. Of course, the number cannot be too large, otherwise it will cause the opponent to rebound. The reason why local forces are local forces is that it is almost difficult for an outsider to easily get a piece of the pie. The Zerg Queen and the others don't seem to have any real plans to settle here directly. In short, they are taking it one step at a time. This edge place is just a place to find resources to replenish. The other party must also know this, so he resorts to dragging words. When Jia Yan just arrived in this space and knew the comparison of strengths between the two sides and what the overall situation in the outside world was going to do, he was slightly shocked. Because Jia Yan felt that there was an extremely terrifying aura of a strong man coming from the outside of this twisted land. Next to this strong man's aura, there are also auras that are a little weaker than him, but they definitely have galaxy-level strength. The opponent's brainwave power is like a mighty terrifying shockwave, rushing into the interior of this twisted place. Although it does not disperse the distortion that specifically resists the strong, it can also wash away the creatures inside. They were swaying this way and that, extremely uncomfortable. This is an honest provocation. The expressions of several galaxy-level beings changed instantly. Jia Yan only listened to the outside world, and the most powerful aura person sneered. You bunch of shy turtles, didn't a very majestic and powerful man come just now? We have been worried for a long time, but why did you hide it when he came? Haha, you have to ask us to come over to invite you. Do you dare to come out and see me? Yes, Your Excellency, when you first came here, didn't you frown at us? Instead, you retreated into your turtle shell when you arrived and didn't dare to show your face at all? You're not a female, why are you so shy? Come out quickly, we are not here to fight you, ha ha ha, but if you dare, you can come and fight. No matter how many people you bring, these are the only ones we have. Beside that being with an extremely powerful aura, there were voices that matched him. The owners of these voices were all beings at the beginning of the galaxy. And the galaxy powerhouse who spoke has reached the middle level of galaxy. This is a galaxy intermediate that I have never fought against before. I have almost fought against the opponent's galaxy intermediate before. I have won and lost, but I have never made a fatal move. Do you want to go out and deal with it? The middle-level galaxy creature next to Jia Yan felt a little embarrassed and tentatively asked Jia Yan. He was still unsure about Jia Yan's temperament, so he didn't know whether Jia Yan was willing to go out and fight. I'll come back as soon as I go, so you don't have to follow me. I'll go out alone first and try their depth. Jia Yan sneered, and then said calmly to several elementary creatures from the galaxy around him who wanted to follow them. A group of primary beings from the galaxy were originally planning to go out and attack Jia Yan, and they also had fights with several primary beings from the other side. However, when they saw that Jia Yan didn't want them to take action, they just reacted angrily. Save yourself the thought of being embarrassed when you go out. Jia Yan rejected the idea of letting several galaxy-level people support him. One of the reasons for this was because he wanted to establish prestige for himself. If he goes into battle alone and doesn't lose face later, then the prestige will come. After all, he is new here and needs to confirm his prestige on the battlefield here. Another reason is that Jia Yan saw the strength of the opponent's group of galaxy-level people, and the existence of the galaxy-level mid-level. To Jia Yan today, they are not such terrible creatures, especially the one from the opponent. It seems that he is not a person with extremely outstanding fighting ability, so he feels that he should be able to easily deal with it alone. As for the other elementary creatures in the galaxy, generally speaking, judging from the battlefield situation at this time, they would not take action. However, if they all attack him together, Jia Yan feels that relying on his subspace talent, there is still a certain possibility to defeat them. Catch them all. Of course, to catch them all in one fell swoop, they all need to attack him and tear each other apart. Otherwise, Jia Yan will have to follow what his colleagues said before and not kill each other. If you don't kill him, if you get injured, it doesn't matter, right? Jia Yan's eyes flashed with a glint of thought. If you don't kill him or injure him, that's acceptable to the other side, and you won't have anything to say. After all, you've beaten him, and you're not even allowed to get hurt. So the enemy is being too unreasonable. In fact, the current battle situation is based on the ratio of injuries on both sides. Although there are more injuries, more people are unable to go to the battlefield, which will gradually affect the overall combat effectiveness, and then determine which way the position is pushed. Puff. A huge sharp front foot stretched out in a twisted position. Coming. The enemies standing outside the Zerg Queen's position and calling for war became serious one by one. Although they came to call for formation, their words were somewhat frivolous, but in fact they really didn't underestimate the strong men here. If they really underestimated, they are fools. Even their own domain lord was seriously injured by the opponent's domain lord. Many strong men were injured in the successive wars here. If they dare to underestimate it, then just mentally retarded. The previous behavior was just because I had an advantage in this area, and I wanted to test the newcomer's capabilities. This is all like a routine fortification. Jia Yan has just arrived and needs to establish a prestige. As for this one, he just wants to see what kind of strength this new enemy has, so that they can be sure. What kind of strong man will be assigned to fight Jia Yan in the future, or what kind of enemy will he be made into? At least on the surface, the mid-level beings from the galaxy who came this time should be similar in strength to Jia Yan, so the other party didn't have much to worry about. Who? The body of the giant mosquito came out of its twisted state. When they saw the new enemy who had just entered the position and stepped out again, but there were no other companions behind him, the group of galaxy-level beings were slightly startled. Invader, where are your other galaxy-level bandits? The opponent's mid-level galaxy existence asked coldly. They claimed that the people on the Zerg Queen's side were all invaders or bandits, which was quite appropriate. After all, Jia Yan and the others were really invading outsiders. As for Jia Yan and the others, will they get angry because of such a name? This is just overthinking. As a strong person, even such words can make them angry. It would be too ridiculous and generous. It is impossible to become a strong person. Of them, I alone am enough to deal with you. How about you guys go up one by one, or let me take action together to deal with them? Jia Yan asked calmly. Are you so arrogant? Want us to come together? Is there something wrong with his mind? Haha, one of these intruders is so arrogant. After hearing Jia Yan's words, a group of galaxy-level people on the other side were angry at first, and then each of them sneered slightly. What Jia Yan said seemed to anger them, but they couldn't be angered so easily. The first thing that came to their mind was that Jia Yan was using these words to make them unable to attack in groups. It's just a little verbal trick. Okay, gangsters are gangsters. Even using such small language skills is so uncultured. Don't worry, we have no intention of attacking you together. That mid-level galaxy being seemed to look down on Jia Yan instantly. In his eyes, this new invader should be a strong man worthy of attention. After all, under the severe situation of the opponent, there should be someone who can come here, but now he thinks about it. This existence is not as scary as he imagined. Although Jia Yan's strength is also at the intermediate level of the galaxy, there are also several intermediate galaxies on their side. There is even one who has almost reached the peak of the intermediate galaxy and has transformed into a territory lord. With such a being sitting in charge, the new mid-level galaxy that is coming is simply impossible to deal with. Moreover, listening to his words at this time, he was confused and worried that all the galaxy-class people on his side would attack him and block them with words. This is too petty. Oh. Hearing that the galaxy-level beings here said this about him, Jia Yan was slightly startled, and then he laughed. Everyone, I'm not squeezing you with words, but I really feel that if you guys join forces to deal with me, I should be able to follow suit. Do you guys want to give it a try? He was so arrogant. Suddenly, the expressions of several galaxy-level beings at the end became even more ugly. I thought Jia Yan said this to block their possible cooperation, but now I see that he really wants them to join forces to deal with him. Is this person looking for death? Or is he really so confident? A being who seems to have just been promoted to the intermediate galaxy, actually thinks that can deal with a group of galaxy beginners, plus an intermediate galaxy? What a fool. That's all, don't be angry, I'll talk to him first before talking. That middle-level being in the galaxy felt that he was the one who was looked down upon the most. For them to take action together shows that this guy has no regard for this mid-level star whose energy and brainwave power are similar to his. How could he endure this? Look at your loud tone, or your strength as expected. The other party didn't give Jia Yan a chance to speak to anger them anymore, and moved his body in an instant. He is that kind of mid-level galaxy being who is not too big but is strong in speed. Therefore, this creature is not very big as a whole, only about 10 kilometers long. It is relatively petite among the mid-level powerhouses in the galaxy. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1982. As soon as he moved, he rushed towards Jia Yan in an instant. Quick. In an instant, Jia Yan felt that this guy's speed was indeed as fast as he saw. Small in size, naturally fast. But this doesn't mean that Jia Yan can't cope with it. It should even be said that facing such a type who is no faster than Jia Yan to the point of despair, Jia Yan is actually easier to deal with. You're actually walking at such a fast pace? Haha, then it's your fault that you chose the wrong direction for your strength. Jia Yan smiled slightly, then stepped back with his feet. He didn't think about competing with the other party's speed in normal space. His strength, or to deal with such a fast existence in the normal space, is to use his best method to deal with it. That is subspace. Once inside the subspace, his speed is definitely much faster than the outside world, calculated according to the speed of the subspace, so that the opponent's speed is nothing compared to him. Even if he does not go to the deep level space, just within the one-dimensional subspace, the speed of movement will be greatly increased, and in the normal one-dimensional space, for a subspace talent like Jia Yan, it is already as fast as in a normal space. There is almost no difference, so for him, entering the subspace is just like a normal space, eating and drinking is as simple as it is. As a result, when he retreated, just when the opponent was about to hit his body, he retreated into the subspace in an instant. The middle-level being in the galaxy watched helplessly as Jia Yan's giant mosquito body, which was at least many times bigger than him, fell into a place of distortion. Suddenly, his expression darkened in an instant. He knew the subspace talent and had played it several times. But just because he has played several times, he understands that his speed talent and the existence of space talent last time are the biggest shortcomings. Against strong men in other ways, he can also take advantage of his speed and small size to catch the opponent off guard. But against a subspace being, he can completely fall into the opponent's advantage zone, and his speed advantage being eaten to death by the enemy. In the twisted subspace, Jia Yan looked at the mid-level galaxy existence in front of him that was almost attacking him. After smiling slightly, he suddenly retreated to the other side of the subspace. You want to sneak attack me like this? Although I am not a subspace talented being, I am no stranger to subspace and galaxy level beings, okay. That speed-type creature, seeing Jia Yan actually inside the subline next to him, wanted to attack him directly in an instant, and his nose was almost crooked with anger. The existence of the subspace talent, I believe that my own talent is real. Every subspace talent that fights with him is like thinking that other galaxy-level beings do not know the subspace, and they want to get close every time. Just prepare to attack. After all, they are all galaxy-level beings. They have a lot of knowledge about the interior of the subspace. Even if they cannot enter the subspace freely like ordinary subspace talented beings, they want to enter the shallower subspace. It can still be done. Another most important point is that for galaxy-level beings, the 1- and 2-dimensional subspace is just like looking at normal space, and there is no obstacle at all. So Jia Yan was like this in the subspace. As soon as his twisted figure moved, he wanted to directly attack this mid-level galaxy being. The other party was naturally extremely unhappy. But he was unhappy, Jia Yan's attacks were coming, and if he could not react, he would be beaten. Jia Yan's front foot thrust out of the subspace in an instant. Humph, get out of here. This galaxy-level being suddenly blocked the stabbing front foot. Although his stature is smaller, he is still a galaxy-level being, and his defense and strength are not much different. Puff. At the point of contact between the two sides, a ball of flame exploded. The battle between the Galaxy class and the Galaxy class is no less than a small interstellar phenomenon to the starry sky. Even if it is a meteorite collision, sometimes it is not as loud as the battle between two Galaxy class. After all, battles between galactic classes are often accompanied by extremely terrifying collisions of brainwave power, and brainwave power is an extremely weird force. When two major beings clash, the shellless attacks attached to brainwave power almost every time, will cause the battle collision to appear like a Mars-like earth-shattering scene. Jia Yan did not give up the attack directly because of his failure. Inside the subspace, Jia Yan didn't think it was a big deal that the opponent could resist his attack. Or should I say, Jia Yan was surprised that the opponent couldn't even block him. In this attack, he did not use any of his innate skills. He didn't use the explosive power of Onmyeto, nor did he use his blue defense to make his feet sharper, nor did he allow his body to change direction in the second space of the attack. Just like this big thorn attack, if the opponent can't even dodge, it means that the strength is simply weak. Where is the strength of a mid-level galaxy? It is basically the strength of a primary galaxy. Of course, the opponent is still more in line with the mid-level strength of galaxy. And it's not an ordinary mid-level galaxy. Oh? Does this defensive power still have enough power to counterattack? Jia Yan calmly avoided the opponent's other claw-like organ attack. This attack was also quite powerful. With one claw, it was caught inside the subspace. Jia Yan dodged slightly and wanted to pursue the attack. It can be seen that this mid-level being in the galaxy still has some experience in dealing with subspace talented beings. But even with experience, there is a certain gap in strength between him and Jia Yan, which is irreparable. Jia Yan is actually observing. Especially after the first blow of testing each other, He Wei became convinced. In fact, it was his first time to fight against a galaxy-level being in the central star field of the Milky Way. For such a first time, he naturally had many scruples and worries. For example, I worry about whether my strength will be easily cracked by others, or whether the fighting mode of the strong here will be completely different from that of the outside world. But after the first battle, most of the worries in his heart were put away. The other party must have some reservations about his strength, and he is also observing me. But even if he has any reservations, I can probably tell his strength through this two-hand confrontation. The strong men in the central star field of this galaxy are really strong. A middle-level being from the galaxy who just walked out casually can defend against my attacks, but this is not enough. Jia Yan could see that the opponent's strength was definitely stronger than the intermediary galaxy beings that exuded the same brainwave power level from the outside world. If it were the intermediate galaxy beings with the same brainwave power level from the outside world, it would probably not take at most 10 moves. Will be killed by this mid-level galaxy existence. And he is not the most terrifying among the intergalactic beings on the other side. It should even be said that he should be one of the two weakest. But precisely because he is weak, Jia Yan is extremely strong, so the gap between the two sides is like having their identities reversed. He is the extremely powerful being in the center of the star field, and the other person is a foreign bumpkin. With this strength, I can deal with several of them. Of course, I have to be careful with the opponent's trump card. If he keeps sticking to me and fighting like this, if I use some real fighting power, he won't even have time to unleash his trump card. He'll be so underestimated. Me. Jia Yan was helpless. In fact, he didn't know that the other party didn't underestimate him at all, but didn't think that Jia Yan would be much stronger than him. So many that if Jia Yan used his explosive combat power, he might not even have time to unleash his trump card. To him, this would be a waste of time. After all, they all know that the other party is a real bumpkin from the outside world. If it is a genius mid-level galaxy existence in the center of the galaxy, they believe that one blow will kill them, even if they are the same brainwave power sense, or even the first-level galaxy existence, could kill them all in one blow. But this opponent is not a genius from the center of the galaxy at all, but a countryman who has just arrived here. How can they believe that such a mid-level galaxy existence has the opportunity and strength to kill them with one blow? Haha, Your Excellency, you'd better use all your strength. Against me, even if you are gifted in subspace, you won't be able to defeat me without using all your strength. The speed-type galaxy mid-level being, who knew that the exchange of one or two blows gave him confidence, so much so that he opened his mouth to Jia Yan again. At this moment, inside the enemy's base camp, the person whose strength was so terrifying that he might even be close to the peak of Black Sheep's mid-level galaxy almost touched his forehead in helplessness. His strength was even more terrifying than Jia Yan's, so after a while, he finally understood that Jia Yan's strength was more than a little stronger than his partner. There may even be few people here who can compete with him. As expected, the existence that dared to come for reinforcements when the opponent's strong men were not strong as a whole was absolutely astonishing in strength. But what the hell is this friend of his doing? He actually provokes the other party with words before he feels the full strength of the other party. If this guy is not injured after he comes back, then he will be thrown to other battle groups. It feels a bit embarrassing to work with him. This being at the top of the middle level of the galaxy said helplessly. Huh? What's wrong? Didn't he play well? Why do you say that? Next to him was another intergalactic being, who was a little surprised when he heard this. This being at the top of the middle level of the galaxy looked at him, and then his head hurt a little. It turns out that the new person on the other side is so powerful. Didn't even the person next to him see the strength he was pretending to have? This guy needs to pay more attention. The existence at the top of the middle level of the galaxy, with a strange light shining in its eyes, was staring at the location of the battle. Everyone knows that even if he is inferior in strength, there will be no casualties, otherwise he will stop it. After all, the gap in strength between the two sides was such that he couldn't bear to look directly at it. Puff. After Jia Yan heard what the other party said, he immediately smiled. He showed a little bit of strength. As a mid-level galaxy being, he knew very well that among the opponent's powerful people, there must be people who could see his strength at a glance. Especially the existence of the middle-level peak of galaxy. Jia Yan didn't know whether others could see Jia Yan's calmness and true strength at a glance, but he could definitely see it. So instead of continuing to pretend, it's better to be a little more high-profile now. The speed-type galactic mid-level being who was fighting Jia Yan had just provoked Jia Yan. After he felt that all the pores in his body were relieved, he suddenly felt that the opponent's strength had suddenly increased explosively. What? Jia Yan's feet exploded with a slight burst of speed. It was like a collision of strength between the positive and negative forces of brain waves, causing the heels of his feet to stab suddenly like rockets. To this mid-level galaxy existence. The opponent's speed is fast, but there is a limit to this speed. What's more, Jia Yan is in the subspace at this time, and he is tightly entangled with this mid-level galaxy being. When he stabs out, it's like, the same feeling pierced around this mid-level galaxy being. If you want to hide, he is not fast enough. Bang. This speed-type mid-level galaxy existence suddenly felt that his abdomen was pierced by a sharp object. Puff. Suddenly, he felt that his mouth was full of blood. In shock, he spit out a large mouthful of blood. This? When did you stab me and I couldn't react at all? This mid-level galaxy existence felt a pair of cold giant mosquito eyes staring at him in the subspace in front of him, as cold as ice, and his whole body suddenly became cold. Oh my God, what did I do to provoke such a mid-level galaxy existence? The opponent's strength is more than one level stronger than mine. Maybe for a few moments, he was close to the more powerful ones among the mid-level stars in the galaxy. He is just a middle-level star in the galaxy, he is just a speed-type being with normal strength, but he actually looks down on him when he provokes him face to face with this relatively powerful being in the mid-level galaxy. It's simply courting death. This mid-level galaxy being was afraid that Jia Yan wanted to continue attacking, so he used his full speed and took another step back. Injure me seriously. But his speed is not as fast as the opponent's explosion in the subspace. Another foot stabbed him in the chest before he could withdraw. For most living creatures, their vital organs are located in the chest. For example, the heart or similar organs are located here, so they are extremely important. But Jia Yan didn't want to kill the opponent, so he stabbed shallowly. Puff. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1983. The speed-type galaxy mid-level being had no chance to resist and was directly stabbed. Wow! He spat out another mouthful of blood. Then with deep fear in his eyes, he quickly flew backwards. He was really scared. This blow could definitely kill him, but he was obviously holding back. In other words, the other party really only needed one blow to kill him. This gap in strength is simply huge. Hee. Jia Yan looked at the other party and saw that there were already 2 holes in his abdomen. It was impossible to heal them quickly, and he suddenly smiled. At this moment, the enemy who had reached the peak of the middle level of galaxy was already charging towards the center of the battlefield. When he arrived, Jia Yan happened to give up the pursuit with one blow. Anyway, he continued to chase, but was suddenly blocked by this middle-level peak being of the galaxy. Jia Yan knew that he could not defeat him for the time being, so he gave up the attack instantly. This makes it seem like the opponent, this mid-level star player, has done nothing but work in vain. This powerful man at the top of the middle level of the galaxy seemed to be spitting out fire from his eyes. "Your Excellency, you are very good. May I ask what your name is?" He looked at Jia Yan coldly, and at the same time, he used the power of his brain waves to wrap up the injured mid-level galaxy powerhouse. This mid-level powerhouse will be considered useless after this battle and will not be able to do anything again for at least half a year or even several years. This was a huge blow to their combat effectiveness in this position. Whether I am well or not can be seen by our people. You don't need to ask. However, my name is not unknown to you. I am Jia Yan. I am very happy to meet you. May I ask what your name is? Jia Yan said lightly, his voice neither humble nor arrogant. Although the opponent was stronger than him, Jia Yan believed that he still had a certain chance of escaping from the opponent. Jia Yan. That. At this time, this mid-level peak being in the galaxy was startled when he heard Jia Yan's name, and then his breathing seemed to become rapid. The leader of their force, the Domain Master creature, was said to have made a sneak attack on a mid-level galaxy being some time ago, but failed. Other low-level creatures may not know whether this matter is true, but he, a creature at the top of the middle level of the galaxy, is infinitely close to the existence of the Domain Lord, so he naturally understands that this matter is true. Moreover, he also found out through his own intelligence system that the name of the intergalactic being was Jia Yan. In other words, is the mid-level being in the galaxy in front of me the same being who didn't even kill his own Domain Lord creature that day? However, that was not because Jia Yan had any real ability to escape from the Territory Lord, but because he was inside the subspace at that time. In the seventh dimensional subspace, even the Territory Lord could not be killed with one blow, so it was very easy to escape. Oh, so you are Jia Yan, very good, I remember you, Jia Yan, you have played a game today, we will not embarrass you, the future is long. My name is Tu Shi, if there is a chance in the future, just give me a try, I want to see how terrifying a being who can escape from the hands of a Domain Lord creature is. The creature at the top of the middle level of the galaxy did not look down upon Jia Yan in the slightest. Instead, he spoke his name very calmly and did not even try to teach Jia Yan a lesson. Because he knew that if Jia Yan was that Jia Yan, then even if he took action, he would not be completely sure that he would be injured in one go. Failure to injure him would make Jia Yan aware of his strength and guard against him. It would be difficult to injure Jia Yan in one go next time. After all, his innate strength is a subdimensional talent. Even though this mid-level peak person in the galaxy is sure of his own strength, he still wants to take a look at it, at least when there is a chance, and then take action. Foolproof. Your Excellency Tu Shi? Nice to meet you. Jia looks forward to fighting with you next time. What Jia Yan said made the other party and a group of elementary beings of the galaxy around him slightly startled. Because this guy actually dared to say that he wanted to fight with a middle-level peak being in the galaxy. This courage is really boundless. The middle-level peak being in the galaxy shook his body slightly, wanting to teach Jia Yan a lesson on the spot. But he still endured it. As I just thought, Jia Yan doesn't understand him, nor does he understand Jia Yan. Even if he is confident in his own strength, Jia Yan can escape from a Domain Lord creature. If he misses, he will think about it next time. The chance to engage Jia Yan in a fight was gone. So he endured it, and after watching Jia Yan's battles a few more times in the future, and understanding his escape and fighting methods, he would get rid of it once and for all. Oh no, the current war has not reached the point of killing people, especially the two sides would definitely not be willing to kill Galaxy Intermediate. If a real war broke out, he wouldn't be able to avoid it. Next time, I will beat you until you vomit 3 liters of blood, and you will be unable to practice for at least a few years. If you have a talent that lasts for several years without practicing, you will have wasted a lot of time in your life. If it is more serious, half of it will be ruined. Although time is infinite for the existence of strong people, especially those with good talents are extremely sensitive to time. If they are suddenly interrupted for a few years or the like, generally speaking, it will be fine, but they happen to be aware of their strength. At a critical moment, the problem becomes huge and may affect you for a lifetime. Moreover, after being injured for a few years, the Zerg Queen lost a mid-level galaxy existence, and their advantage was even greater. Seeing the existence of the intermediate peak of galaxy, he snorted and left without saying a word. Jia Yan looked at several uninjured primary enemies of galaxy and asked lightly, "What? Are you still looking for them? Shall I fight?" Jia Yan, still say the same thing, and I don't care if you all come together." "Huh, that's so arrogant. Your name is Jia Yan, right? Now I won't take advantage of others and come to trouble you again in the future." A foreign countryman dares to say this. "You must have no idea how fast we advance. In 10 or 8 years, someone among us will definitely be able to beat you." Several elementary beings from the galaxy were cursing, but no one really dared to come up and fight Jia Yan. Not only did they not dare to challenge Jia Yan alone, that would be asking for death. As for what Jia Yan said about joining forces to besiege him, forget it. Although they felt that they would not lose, it would be disgraceful to win if a group of people besieged him. Besides, if there is even a slight possibility that we lose, it would be too much fun, and if we tell anyone, we will be laughed to death. The enemies followed the existence of the middle-level peak of the galaxy one by one and retreated into the position. Jia Yan was the only one standing in the starry sky, staring at the opponent's position with great pride, feeling like he was the invincible opponent in the world. "Master Jia Yan is amazing. It's so scary, Master Jia Yan. I am someone who joined the Queen's banner along the way." "Who is he?" "It's a long story. Your Excellency Jia Yan, I think he was also a very prosperous person at the beginning. He just needed to get promoted in the energy circle on the way, so he left for a while. Come on, let me tell you, he used to be the same. He has an extremely legendary life and experience." A large number of people on the Zerg Queen's side were extremely surprised because of Jia Yan. Just now, everyone was a little numb when Jia Yan agreed to fight the enemy's galaxy intermediate. Because this is just one of the enemy's mid-level galactic beings. There are at least several similar mid-level galactic beings. Even if Master Jia Yan is slightly better, it will have no effect. But Jia Yan actually didn't win slightly, but seriously injured the opponent in one breath. This is amazing. Master Jia Yan has actually shown the strength to fight against beings of the same level. Didn't I hear that he had only been promoted for a year or two? Why did he suddenly possess the strength to be proud of his peers? At this time, people who knew Jia Yan's previous experience began to show off, saying that Jia Yan's ability to have such strength was not something to be shocked about. Those who didn't know Jia Yan gathered around him, whispering in shock, listening to Jia Yan's general experience. Of course, those who thought they knew Jia Yan's life while chatting about him actually had no idea that Jia Yan's real experience was much richer and more colorful than they imagined. And not only the powerful people under the galaxy are like this, but even the galaxy-level people are whispering and sighing at Jia Yan. In fact, almost all of Jia Yan's comrades were those who came out together in the Zerg Queen's domain. After all, it is not that simple to recruit galaxy-level beings. But they also understand a lot of Jia Yan, because many of the galaxy-level people came back one after another after Jia Yan became the Zerg Queen Territory Lord, or they came back after a trip. For Jia Yan, who did not have many unique performances in the Zerg Queen Territory Lord, they did not know much about his past glory. But the Galaxy class is the Galaxy class after all, and none of them wanted to know Jia Yan's past thoughts all at once. Anyway, there are many opportunities in the future. Your Excellency Jia Yan, I didn't expect that your strength is so terrifying. I have fought against that mid-level galaxy being a few times. Even if I can defeat him, it is only a small victory. The Zing mid-ranker who greeted Jia Yan had admiration in his eyes. The strong naturally respect the strong. In terms of strength, the classification of the strong in the starry sky is very simple. If you are strong, others will respect you. This middle level being in the galaxy is like this to everyone at the same level as Jia Yan. Several other junior level people in the galaxy have restrained their doubts about Jia Yan's strength just now and instantly became respectful. Master Jia Yan, I'm sorry. I misunderstood your strength just now. I didn't expect that you are truly powerful. Haha, with Mr. Jia Yan here, our life in this position should be easier. That's good, that's good. If they come to challenge us again in the future, we won't be able to cower in our position and dare not go out. Of course, the other party will not be so unscrupulous. A group of galaxy-level beings felt that Jia Yan's arrival was not because their rights were being dispersed, but because they felt that the pressure was relieved. If they were in a relatively easy battle, they naturally wouldn't like someone to share their rights, but in this position, the enemy's strength is overwhelmingly superior to that of this side. They are eager to have someone stronger than them sit here, otherwise they will be there every day. I'm on tenterhooks. Besides, there are only so many people here and so many resources. What's the use of having rights? You guys have beaten me. Okay, let's go back to our position and rest. The opponent will be able to be honest for a while after being suppressed by me. Jia Yan smiled and entered the depths of the formation together with several galaxy-level beings. This is a rare victory. And it's quite satisfying. Jia Yan used this victory to give a big gift to his future comrades in this position. It can be regarded as establishing his position here. Did Jia Yan actually establish his position from the beginning? But this is normal. If he is so useless, he is not worthy of my attention. Far away in the energy circle, Black Sheep became slightly solemn after hearing the information here. For him, other mid-level galactic beings have little impact on him, because he is confident that he should be the first creature to enter the territory lord before other beings. And the same was true for Jia Yan. He didn't believe that Jia Yan could still be faster than him. But he was worried about something else. Jia Yan is too valued by the Queen of the Zerg. In addition, there are a few other points. Those mid-level galactic beings who are about the same strength as him, or a little weaker, have little trouble with his Black Sheep. Even if they don't look down on each other, but at least they coexist peacefully, but for Jia Yan, it's different. Black Sheep felt a little regretful. He didn't want someone who could share power with him, so his suppression of Jia Yan was too obvious. Otherwise, even if Jia Yan was promoted quickly, he wouldn't be able to do it. He directly became his opponent, and even got into an incident where he used the biological intelligence provided to the domain master, provoking the other party to take action. In this way, he and Jia Yan have almost become mortal enemies. If the Zerg Queen hadn't been suppressing them, they would have met to the death. Jia Yan, if he knows his character, he should stop showing off his sharpness. That will only speed up my idea of getting rid of him. After Black Sheep learned about Jia Yan's information, he was actually a little irritable, but he couldn't explain the specific irritability. He only knew that Jia Yan's existence was like a thorn in his side and a thorn in his flesh. It was hard for him to live. Obviously he knows very well that it is very difficult for Jia Yan to threaten him. Just like in the previous war, at least in this area, he is almost the first person under the existence of the territory lord. This kind of talent, his strength, is actually extremely astonishing, and he shouldn't be afraid of a being who has just reached the intermediate level of territory lord. But he was just afraid, and he didn't know where this fear came from. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1984. Perhaps it's because the Queen thinks so highly of him that she even thinks that he will be the Queen's second best. Black Sheep thought that the Queen of the Zerg had once praised Jia Yan, and she didn't know if it was because of praise, saying that Jia Yan was someone who might be as talented as her in the future and could be promoted to Domain Master. I don't know if this is a joke, but I actually take it seriously. Black Sheep felt that he took the words of the Zerg Queen a little too seriously. He had watched Her Majesty the Queen grow up since she was weak. Others thought she was serious, but in his opinion, she was still, he often says, nonsense, so this must be nonsense. But unfortunately, Black Sheep really cared about these words. Oh, forget it, I will take action after a while, because Her Majesty the Queen is already staring at me. If there is any immediate action, even if she values me, she may actually kill me, because in a team, it is absolutely not allowed to kill teammates. Black Sheep gave up on the idea of using the power of the Thunder Strike to kill Jia Yan. But he felt extremely uncomfortable and a little uneasy about Jia Yan's increasing strength. As for the Zerg Queen, there was no big shock or astonishment at Jia Yan's display of strength. For this kind of existence, their view has long been different. Their strength can guarantee that they will hardly cause any trouble when facing the strength of the people below. Of course, if Jia Yan's strength improves a little more and can even attack the Domain Lord, then the situation will be different. It's just that it's not that situation yet. Lord Jia Yan, the opponent, has been hit by such a blow and has not come to fight for several days. Haha, I knew these guys were also afraid of death. Lord Jia Yan severely injured one of them, an intermediate galaxy, in one breath. How could they dare to provoke him? Well, actually I don't know. Why don't they send that person who is at the top of the middle level of the galaxy to challenge? Are you stupid? Master Jia Yan can completely ignore the existence of the middle level peak of the galaxy when he comes to fight. Why should we fight with him? That's right. There's no reason for him to challenge us. After all, they all have different strengths. A group of creatures gathered together to discuss and talk. This is at the front line, because there are actually not many creatures here, and everyone's circle is not big at all. Usually small groups gather together. Jia Yan, on the other hand, has absolutely no chance of being in a circle with these stars. At the very least, he is always with those galactic level people, and it is even difficult for him to be in the same circle with them. After all, there is a huge difference in strength. In this universe, strength is not only a guarantee of status, but sometimes it actually prevents a strong person from integrating. The reason for the circle. You are so much better than others. Even if people accept you, they will still be afraid when you speak. It doesn't feel good. Although Jia Yan has no intention of rejecting others thousands of miles away, he still inevitably has a little gap with several galaxy-level comrades. The only one who can communicate with Jia Yan on an even-keel basis is the galaxy-level mid-level S existence. Lord Jia Yan, do you want to see our rewards? That's right. You're here to fight just for the energy. Haha, I'll help you apply for 10,000 points for this battle. If the Queen agrees, you can be able to pick something here. When Jia Yan said that he wanted to see what he could exchange for points by fighting in this position, the mid-level galaxy creature quickly nodded in agreement. In fact, for galaxy mid-level creatures, even galaxy-level creatures, many rules are just written on a piece of paper, but these rules are indispensable in the presence of Domain Master creatures, even if they have seen it in person, and only the Territory Lord creature, after all, is irregular, and the Territory Lord creature also needs to practice. Without these things, it depends on the Territory Lord creature to distinguish which subordinate to reward, and it is estimated that they don't need to practice. Let me see. When the mid-level galaxy creature took out the reward table for this position, Jia Yan stepped forward with a smile and looked at the huge light screen. For super strong people, even if they are huge, they can talk in the corner of a position and no one can hear them due to the energy spread. You said 10,000 points last time, right? I see the energy here. The high-level energy is almost one-on-one. In other words, in the previous battle, I could earn 10,000 high-level energy. Jia Yan looked at the energy exchange table and was a little surprised. It's not too expensive, it's too cheap. He was simply shocked, because he had only used 100,000 high-level energy points to decorate a planet before. Looking at it this way, he would have spent 10,000 energy points in a random battle, which was still a crushing level battle. Zi made a profit of 1/10 of the cost of decorating a planet. And Jia Yan also knew that this was just a reward for the battle. They would be rewarded with points every day in this position, and there would be rewards for making suggestions and winning the battle. In this way, Lin Lin finally came down and won the battle just now. The subsequent rewards are more than doubled, and at least the subsequent effects are doubled. In other words, there is at least a reward of 30,000 high-level energy points, which is very powerful. That's right. It's difficult for other galaxy-level people, even those at the intermediate level of the galaxy, to earn these points. For example, the person next to me can beat the intermediate galaxy level before me, but it's impossible to do it as neatly as me. Jia Yan looked at his mid-level galaxy comrades beside him and smiled slightly. He knew that the reason why he had received so many rewards in one battle was probably because he was much stronger than the creatures around him. It would have been impossible for him to be replaced by other mid-level galactic beings. Master Jia Yan, don't think about changing to high-level energy points. Take a look, there are many other good things in this light curtain. The Galaxy Intermediate felt a little funny when he saw Jia Yan looking at high-level energy at a glance. None of these warriors lacked energy points, but this Jia Yan went straight to the energy points as soon as he arrived. It can be seen that his background is indeed not as good as that of the average galaxy level. After all, his talent is too good. The speed of promotion leads to little savings and high energy consumption. Of course, this is not a joke. After all, the talent is good. That is what they all want, but it is simply impossible. But he didn't encourage Jia Yan to exchange for energy, because the things displayed on this light screen were much better. If he only exchanged for high-level energy points, the value might not be much different, but he actually wanted to touch it again. There are some things inside that are hard to come by. Even in this central star field of the Milky Way, some things are difficult to encounter. Hey, are there external defenses and weapons here? Jia Yan looked behind the curtain again and was stunned. In front of the Galaxy class, it is almost impossible to have any external weapons. The first point is that the Galaxy class is generally extremely large. It is extremely difficult to match weapons and defensive weapons for such a Galaxy class. Another point is that the strength of the Galaxy class is simply beyond reality. Even if there is any technology that is enough to create equipment for the Galaxy class to wear, it will not have any effect at all. That's right, Master Jia Yan, look at it. Although these equipments cannot be full body, they are also wearable and detachable. There is also this kind of equipment. Look at it, it is a foot cover. It is most suitable for use today. The steel used for Galaxy-class combat is still the technology of the central star field of the Milky Way. The mid-level Galaxy creature obviously wanted to have a good relationship with Jia Yan, and he immediately pointed at a few things that might be useful to Jia Yan. Oh, it's so good. Jia Yan was a little excited. You know, he had experienced the feeling of owning weapons and equipment when he was weak. He even swallowed the equipment into his body several times because of the energy and material required for evolutionary mutation. At this time, some parts of his body may still be what metal substances exist. So he actually didn't resist wearing equipment at all. It was just because he had progressed too fast before, and as he became stronger, there was less and less equipment worthy of him to wear, so he gave up the idea. Unexpectedly, in the power of the Zerg Queen, we can actually see equipment suitable for the mid-level galaxy. Actually, that's not right. I'm carrying the Edissa as a backpack. Isn't this a piece of equipment? I forgot about it. Jia Yan suddenly thought that it was not that he had no equipment at all, but that he had the Edissa. However, because the Edissa was the battleship he had been riding in since he was weak, and it had the ability to propel it, he almost pushed it. He thought it was a spaceship in disguise, forgetting that he was actually carrying it on his back as equipment. After thinking about it again, Jia Yan smiled slightly and took a closer look at the equipment. The middle-level galaxy being next to him looked at Jia Yan's attitude and couldn't help but smile. If it were any other galaxy-level being, he might not recommend others to look at equipment in this way, because just like himself, he is actually not very interested in equipment. But it was because he saw the Edissa that Jia Yan was carrying on his back and thought that Jia Yan might not resist this kind of equipment that he told Jia Yan this kind of thing. In fact, it is also a gesture of goodwill, even giving Jia Yan a favor, and Jia Yan will return the favor in the future. Jia Yan looked at the equipment and the like in the light curtain, and then meditated for a while. In fact, one should not underestimate the equipment here. Since there are intermediate galaxy around him, they will take the initiative to introduce it to Jia Yan, indicating that these equipment are definitely suitable for intermediate galaxy. Jia Yan looked at a few of them and was a little excited. For example, this foot cover, I can put it on my foot. The metal it uses is made of cosmic technology using a technology similar to atomic compression. The hardness is amazing. The problem is that it must be there are also some disadvantages, such as being fragile. Once it exceeds its hardness, it will break. But for me, this is not a problem. It is good to be able to protect it. Besides, if nothing happens, it will mutate in the future. It can also be used as a source of some external material for me. It has been a long time since I swallowed some metal while mutating, so it is time to replenish the metal element. Jia Yan was thinking about this, and then looked at a few more pieces of equipment. In the end, he spent about 5,000 points to replace the metal sleeves on the feet, plus protective parts on the abdomen and reinforced wing feathers. In fact, the material cost of these things is more than 5,000 points, just because the Zerg Queen has captured them before. Very good. Thank you, Your Excellency. If you have anything to do in the future, you can tell me. After Jia Yan bought the things, the mid-level galaxy comrade immediately took him to a warehouse, where the things were directly there. Jia Yan thanked him a few times and began to equip himself with this harvest. To be honest, he was not too surprised, nor was he disappointed. These things, except for the atomic compression type kit on the feet, are a bit shoddy. After all, they are all such huge things. They should not have been used by Jia Yan before, but Jia Yan can easily modify them. Master Jia Yan, needless to say this, we are all comrades in arms. There are many places where we need to help each other in the future, right? The other party didn't ask for credit or anything. After all, this is really not a big deal. If there is any purpose, it is to give a little favor. To increase feelings in the future. It will probably be used. Jia Yan also intends to make friends with the other party. His recent goal of making friends is to make friends everywhere. He still understands the principle of 3 gangs of men. If he wants to deal with the black sheep, he must have his own circle of friends. Not only do they have to be there at all costs, but they at least have a good impression of themselves and will not easily side with the black sheep. As a result, with both parties interested in making friends, the two had a lively conversation. Jia Yan was even teased a few times while putting on his equipment. At first glance, it seemed like both parties had been friends for a long time. Haha, Lord Jia Yan, I didn't expect you to have such a personality. I heard earlier that you were very arrogant. But now I see that rumors can really kill people. You are not like that at all. After getting acquainted with Jia Yan, the middle-level being from the galaxy suddenly became much fonder of Jia Yan and began to question the rumors he had heard about Jia Yan before. Haha, I don't know what the outside world says about me, but I can be sure of one thing, that is, I, Jia Yan, will never do anything bad or betrayal towards my friends. I wonder if you are willing to be my friend, Jia Yan. That's it? Of course I am, of course I am, Your Excellency Jia Yan, we are comrades fighting in the same trench. It's too foreign to say this. Come on, let's go over and continue chatting. Jia Yan had already put on his equipment, but it didn't really matter. He only had a pair of covers on his front feet, which made him feel a little uncomfortable, and a piece of high-density metal covering the vital parts of his back, and the wings had metal frames. A new book has been released, in another account, called Heroes Will Never Be Slaves. The training system is based on the giant Mosquito system. Ha ha ha, maybe Jia Yan will appear in a guest role in the future. Everyone is welcome to collect and follow. Give me a recommendation vote, thank you.